Chapter 858. The Saint Artifact shook violently in Ling Yuanzi's hand. It wanted to break free, but no matter how hard it tried, it was unable to do so. Ling Yuanzi's hand was like a steel clamp, firmly holding the Saint Artifact in place. Ling Yuanzi's hair was disheveled. He looked at the Saint Artifact in his hand viciously and laughed aloud. I never thought that this would be a treasure that can store a living person. From today onwards, this treasure belongs to me, Ling Yuanzi. Jianqin, you've injured Old Man's soul, so Old Man will accept your treasure as compensation. The Saint Artifact shook even more violently as it began to shine with a bright golden light. However, even though the artifact spirit possessed the strength of the Holy Emperor within the Saint Artifact, it was just too weak due to its innate limitations. Even a saint ruler would be able to restrain it, let alone a supreme expert like the Holy Emperor. Jianqin, you better give up. I'd like to see how you escape from Old Man. Once Old Man takes you back to the clan, he'll have plenty of ways to deal with you, Ling Yuanzi sneered. Ling Yuanzi sneered. He covered his hand with a layer of powerful saint force, binding the Saint Artifact within. With a wave of his hand, he ripped open a space gate and was about to leave. At this moment, a tremendous force suddenly appeared. It viciously struck toward Ling Yuanzi with devastating might. The force had arrived far too suddenly and far too quickly, giving Ling Yuanzi no time to react. It had completely locked onto Ling Yuanzi's presence, making it impossible for him to dodge. At the same time, the terrifying power of the soul permeated the air, forcefully collapsing the space gate that Ling Yuanzi had created. Ling Yuanzi bellowed out. He no longer bothered with suppressing his wounds as he unleashed a full-powered attack to fend off the powerful force surging toward him. His Saint Artifact shone brightly as powerful pulses of energy flooded the surroundings. Afterward, he swung down with great force. The terrifying attack obliterated space, causing darkness to appear. Boom! The two of them collided. Ling Yuanzi was no match for Yi Shiwen and suffered heavy injuries once again. He spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. His expression became dispirited, and he was already extremely weak. The sacred artifact that was bound in Ling Yuanzi's hand took this opportunity to break free from the demonic claw. It turned into a golden beam of light and smashed into the vast sea below, disappearing without a trace. Ling Yuanzi was greatly shocked. The strength of the person who acted in the dark was far too terrifying. It was definitely far beyond his own, which made him extremely shocked. Ling Yuanzi struggled to hover in the air. He quickly took out a piece of jade from his space ring and crushed it without hesitation. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. I wonder who it was that secretly made a move against us, the 10 great guardian clans, and spoiled our plans. Ling Yuanzi's confidence suddenly became abundant as he struggled to speak loudly. Bai Yifei arrived before Ling Yuanzi with Bai Yifei. He stared at the surroundings cautiously. The person who had acted in the dark was far too powerful. Even Bai Yifei did not have absolute confidence in victory when he was at his peak, let alone when he was heavily injured right now. At this moment, a faint humanoid figure suddenly appeared 100 meters in front of Ling Yuanzi and the others. She was a tall woman in a blue dress. She seemed to be in her 20s, and her long blue hair cascaded down to her feet like a waterfall. Her face was illusory, blurry, and impossible to see clearly. She naturally gave off a unique aura, filled with holiness and nobility. She was sacred and inviolable, making it impossible for people to have the slightest thought of profaning her. The moment they saw the woman, both Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi, who had reached the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, were surprised. This was because the two of them actually felt an urge to kneel and worship the mysterious woman. The appearance of this feeling left the two of them extremely shocked. This was because even the Path Lord of carnal desires who had reached the level of the Holy Emperor and Lankiros would not make them feel like this. Who are you? Ling Yuanzi called out. He was no longer as confident as before. He could sense just how powerful and terrifying the mysterious woman was. Humans, you've already set foot in the territory of my sea race. Leave immediately. The illusionary woman spoke calmly and coldly. She did not show any emotions at all. Ling Yuanzi was surprised. He asked with a heavy voice, "Are you the holy emperor of the sea race?" "I am the goddess of the sea race." The illusionary woman's voice remained indifferent. "What, Poseidon?" Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi turned pale with fright. They staggered backwards as a storm raged in their hearts. "Leave my sea race's territory within 3 breaths." The illusory woman left behind her final words before disappearing without a trace. However, her appearance was a huge shock to Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi. The two of them were stunned on the spot, and their minds stopped thinking. When they came back to their senses, they did not dare to stay any longer. They threw Jianchen and the winged tiger to the back of their minds as they fled for their lives. Poseidon was a supreme expert who had surpassed the level of the Holy Emperor. Who in the world could rival him? Not long after, Ling Yuanzi met up with the people from the Yuan sect. He immediately told the great elders of the Yuan sect everything that had happened in detail. What? Poseidon is still alive? The great elders of the Yuan sect all paled in fright when they heard Ling Yuanzi's report. They were shocked. The news was like a clap of thunder to them. It was just too unbelievable. Let's return immediately. We'll urgently call for the 10 protector clans and mercenary city to discuss this matter together. The people from the Yuan sect quickly left the sea realm with Bai Yifei. At this moment, a saint artifact that shone with a faint golden light hovered in a pitch-black cave. After escaping from Ling Yuanzi, the saint artifact had sunk to the bottom of the sea. In the end, it passed through a powerful barrier without any obstruction and entered another world. It hid in a cave. Although the world existed at the bottom of the sea, the sky was enveloped by an extremely powerful barrier. It pushed away all the water, forming an independent space in the underwater world. Within the artifact space, Jianshan and newbies were both being healed by the radiant Saint Force origin energy of the artifact spirit. The two of them were enveloped by a layer of dense, milky white light as their wounds rapidly healed. This time, the two of them had withstood an attack from the Holy Emperor, so their wounds were extremely severe. Newbies had to spend an entire day to completely recover. As for Genshin, he had been injured by the Holy Emperor's Saint Tier battle skill. The power of laws that was unique to Saint Tier battle skills still remained within him, making his wounds even more severe. It was difficult for him to heal. This Saint Tier battle skill really is powerful. It's impossible for a single strand of origin energy to completely heal the wounds left behind by a Saint Tier battle skill. The artifact spirit stood before Genshin and channeled several strands of radiant Saint Force origin energy into Genshin's body, slowly healing the wounds left behind by the Saint Tier battle skill. The origin energy that the artifact spirit controlled was much more powerful than Genshin's, so it would be even more effective with his assistance. After using several strands of origin energy, Genshin's wounds finally healed completely. However, he could not change the fact that he had lost 500 years of life from using God's descent. As a result, Genshin clearly felt a wave of weakness even though his wounds had healed. Artifact Spirit, what's the situation outside right now? The first thing Genshin did after recovering was to ask Genshin about the situation outside. Master, we're safe now. We've arrived at the territory of the sea race, said the artifact spirit. Genshin finally let out a sigh of relief when he heard that. He gently sighed. It's a pity that the gods' descent I cast failed to kill the two of them at the cost of 500 years of my life. Genshin, you should be satisfied. The two of them have both reached the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, yet they've been heavily injured by you. Their souls have been damaged to the point where it's difficult to heal, so they've already paid an extremely heavy price. In the end, you even forced the old man to use a Saint Tier battle skill, said Newbies. If it weren't for the fact that the Saint Tier battle skill destroyed my God's Descent, I would have been able to kill the two of them. If I cast God's Descent at the cost of 1,000 years of life, I would have been able to forcefully endure their Saint Tier battle skill before killing them, said Han Chen indifferently. He felt rather regretful inside. He had been so close to killing the two Holy Emperor experts this time. 1,000 years of life. Newbies immediately leapt up. He glared at Jianchen and said, Jianchen brat, are you tired of living? 500 years is already frightening enough. Yet you want to sacrifice 1,000 years of life to kill two Holy Emperor experts? How can you do something so uneconomical? With your talent, you'll probably reach the level of the Holy Emperor in 1,000 years. By then, you'll have the power to kill your way into the Protector clans. Why are you in such a hurry? Jianchen stood up from the ground and said, Newbies, let's not talk about this for now. I plan on going into seclusion for a while. All right, I'll go into seclusion for a while as well. Once I absorb the remaining essence of the old snake, I'll be able to successfully reach the level of the Holy Emperor as well, said Newbies. At this moment, the artifact spirit's face changed slightly. The senses of the people of the sea race are far too powerful. Master, a few of them have already discovered our existence. They're hurrying over. Jianchen's face sank slightly with that. He said, Looks like now's not the time for seclusion. Jianchen, let's go out first. We can't let the secret of the Saint artifact spread. We can't let the people of the sea race discover its existence. Once the news gets out, there'll be a lot of trouble, said Newbies. Afterwards, there was a flash of white light in the gloomy cave. Jianchen and Newbies appeared there. Jianchen stowed the Saint artifact away before concealing his presence with Newbies and making his way out. Arriving outside the cave, Jianchen subconsciously raised his head to look at the sky. He saw that the sky was dark blue. Above him was the seawater that was blocked by a powerful barrier. The barrier emitted a gentle blue light that illuminated the entire world. The entire territory of the sea race was dyed blue by the light emitted by the barrier. In the sea race, the temperature was rather gloomy. It was impossible to see the sun outside, and the 6 elements that filled the world were incomplete. The water element was extremely powerful, several times more powerful than the Tianyuan continent. The other elements were much weaker, and there was no fire element at all. Is this the world of the sea race? Jianchen softly murmured as he looked at the unfamiliar world. Although Newbies knew about the existence of the sea race from his inherited memories, this was the first time he had come here. Naturally, he was very curious. He shook his head and looked around. Chapter 859. Over a dozen Class 6 magical beasts have come. Newbies stared at the figures flying over from afar. They're not magical beasts. They're humans that evolved from sea creatures. Jianchen corrected him. He could tell with a single glance that they were not humans, nor were they magical beasts. I don't have much information about the sea race in my inherited memories, but they sure are wondrous. Those sea creatures are basically the same as us magical beasts, but they don't need to reach Saint Ruler to take human form. They're much more powerful than us magical beasts. Newbie sighed emotionally. The people arrived before Jianchen very soon. They stood 20 meters away from Jianchen and were filled with caution. There were a total of 13 people. They were 12 young men and 1 woman. The 12 young men were ordinary in appearance, but the woman was rather pretty. She radiated with a noble and elegant presence. She was clearly the daughter of a wealthy family. Perhaps due to the unique environment of the sea race, their skin was either green or white. They were clearly different from the humans on the Tianyuan continent. As Jianchen and Newbies studied them, they studied Jianchen and Newbies as well. However, their gazes moved away from Jianchen very quickly and landed on the golden-robed newbies. Most of the people of the sea race had blue hair. Although there were a few people with hair of other colors, no one with golden hair had ever appeared before. Newbies' attire was rather unique among the sea race. Esteemed warriors, may I ask what you're doing here? The rather pretty woman asked curiously. She constantly studied Jianqin and newbies. The two of us are resting here. Do you need something? Jianqin asked indifferently. Miss, there's no need to pay attention to them. We're not far from Gas City, yet the two of them are resting in the wilderness. Clearly, they don't have enough crystal coins to pay the entrance fee, or they don't have enough crystal coins to live here. With your status, there's no need for you to talk to lowly people like that. It'll only lower your status, the woman behind the young man said. He looked at Jianqin and newbies with disdain. He did not sense their strength at all. He had already treated them as commoners. Shut up. Don't be rude, the woman frowned. The woman frowned slightly as she scolded the young man. Afterwards, she looked at the two of them and asked, Esteemed warriors, may I ask what your stars are? Jianqin and newbies looked at each other. They did not know how to answer. It was their first time coming to the sea race. They were still very unfamiliar with the sea race. They had no idea what a Poseidon warrior was, what their star level was, or what it represented. If they answered incorrectly, it would inevitably raise suspicions. Seeing that the two of them could not answer, the young man standing behind the woman could not help but say, Don't tell me you haven't become a Poseidon warrior yet. Yes, we haven't become a Poseidon warrior yet, Jianqin replied. Hearing this, the young men standing behind the woman showed disdain in their eyes. They looked at Jianqin and newbies with undisguised disdain. The woman had a suspicious look in her eyes. She clearly did not believe what Jianqin said. She was born with a special talent. She practiced one of the 8 sacred arts of the sea race, the innate spirit opening. Her perception was far superior to others of the same level. When she was passing by earlier, she clearly felt a very strong energy fluctuation. That was why she rushed over to find Jianqin and newbies. But now her innate spirit opening could not see through Jianqin and newbies. It made her feel that these two people were not simple. The woman hesitated for a moment and said, Esteemed warriors, Gath City is not far from here. The grand auction that occurs once in 100 years is about to begin. Can you two enter the city with me? All right, then we'll enter the city with you, miss. Jianqin agreed readily. Jianqin, why do you want to enter the city with them? Newbies asked in confusion. The sea race is a little special. Their perception is beyond my expectations. They can actually detect the presence of a sacred artifact. The presence of a sacred artifact cannot be completely hidden, so we can't expose it too often. From now on, we can only cultivate outside. As a result, I think it's very important for us to learn more about the sea race. Following them will undoubtedly be one of the most convenient ways to learn more about the sea race, Jianqin said. Yeah, that does make sense. Although I have some records about the sea race in my inherited memories, I don't know how long those memories are from. The sea race must have changed a lot. For example, I don't know what's going on with that warrior Poseidon. Afterward, Jianqin and newbies followed the woman to Gath City. The two of them hid their strength and flew slowly with a layer of water, elemental energy around them. This was very easy for 2 Saint Kings. The two of them displayed their ability to fly, which immediately changed the way the dozen or so people looked at them. Along the way, Jianqin and newbies constantly asked about the sea race. They learned a lot of useful information from the woman, and their understanding of the sea race deepened. Other than the fact that the sea race was divided into 3 parts, there was also the difference between the inner sea and the outer sea. The inner sea was an independent world separated by the barrier that Jianqin and newbies were in. It was the holy land in the hearts of all the sea race. Only highly evolved members who could take human form had the right to enter. The members of the sea race who had not yet taken human form could only live in the outer sea. The outer sea was the world outside the barrier. Not only was the environment there terrible, but there was also little water element energy. There was also seawater everywhere. Of course, some of the sea race could not take human form due to innate reasons. As a result, one only needed to reach the strength of a 14-star warrior Poseidon to have the right to enter the inner sea. The sea god's warrior was the sea race's division of strength for practitioners. There were a total of 18 stars. Compared to the human race and the magical beasts, they were divided into 2 stars and 1 rank. 1 star and 2 stars were equivalent to human saints and rank 1 magical beasts. 3 stars and 4 stars were equivalent to great saints and rank 2 magical beasts. Based on this, 11 stars and 12 stars were equivalent to rank 6 magical beasts. 13 stars and 14 stars were equivalent to rank 7 magical beasts. 15 stars and 16 stars were equivalent to rank 8 magical beasts, and 17 stars and 18 stars were equivalent to rank 9 magical beasts. The territory of the sea race was rich with crystal coins condensed from water elemental energy. Not only was it the common currency of the sea race, but it was also something that the sea race needed to cultivate. Crystal coins were as important to the sea race as monster cores were on the Tian-Yuan continent. The only difference was that absorbing the energy from crystal coins would not leave behind any side effects. Aside from the 3 divine halls, there were many other large and small forces that existed in the form of clans and tribes. Other than that, Jianqin also learned something very important. Humans and magical beasts were often active in the sea race. These humans and magical beasts were almost all cultivators from overseas. They were very close to the sea race, and they brought things from the outside to trade with the sea race for what they needed. Although the sea race generally did not treat foreign humans and magical beasts with hostility, there were some exceptions. Some of the members of the sea race were extremely repulsed by outsiders, so when they saw them, it was unavoidable for them to start a fight or even kill them for their treasures. Even the powerful saint rulers and class 7 magical beasts were no exception. As a result, if outsiders wanted to travel safely in the sea race, they needed to find a powerful backer. Jianqin gained some understanding of the woman's identity. She was the daughter of the patriarch of a large tribe several tens of thousand kilometers away. Her name was Kea, and she had cultivated for over 200 years. This time, she had led over a dozen 12-star Poseidon warriors to Gas City to participate in the centennial auction. As Jianqin hurried to Gas City, all the important figures of the 10 protector clans and mercenary city had gathered in a hovering divine hall on the distant Tian-Yuan continent. Everyone, that's the situation. Poseidon is still alive, and Jianqin has fled into the territory of the sea race with the winged tiger. What should we do now? A great elder of the Yuan sect explained everything he had learned about Poseidon from Ling Yuanzi in detail. Apart from the great elder of Mercenary City, everyone else in the hovering divine hall became unprecedentedly serious. Poseidon was an influential figure in ancient times. He was someone who was as famous as the greatest human expert, Mo Tianyan, the winged tiger, and the war god, Ruijin. He was one of the 4 great experts who had surpassed the Holy Emperor. Now that so many years had passed, the ancient war god Ergens had fallen, and the ancient divine beast-winged tiger god and the strongest human Mo Tianyan were nowhere to be found. It was very likely that they had passed away from the end of their lifespans and no longer existed in this world. However, the sea goddess was still in this world. This news had a very strong impact on the people of the 10 protector clans, causing their expressions to become very ugly. Yuan Qingzi, is this news true? Are you sure that Poseidon is still alive? Could it be that some other expert is deliberately mystifying and trying to scare us? A guardian family's hostage questioned in a grave tone. It's absolutely true. Bai Yifei also witnessed this with me, Ling Yuanzi growled. He had yet to recover from his injuries, so his face was as pale as snow. He was dispirited. Ling Yuanzi, your injuries were caused by Poseidon. I can feel that your soul is extremely weak. You've been heavily injured, a ruddy old man asked. Ling Yuanzi shook his head. As soon as he thought about what had happened, he felt ashamed and resentful. The mighty Holy Emperor, a supreme expert of the fifth heavenly layer, had actually fallen to the hands of a junior who was nowhere near as powerful as him. He had completely lost face. It's Genshin. I never thought that he would have already become a Class 7 Radiant Saint Master. He used 500 years of his lifespan to heavily injure me with God's descent, Ling Yuanzi said through gritted teeth. He was filled with hatred for Genshin. Everyone present was surprised when they heard that. Changyang Qingyun and the Grand Elder from Changyang Prefecture revealed rather mixed expressions. They wanted to help Genshin very much, but they were powerless to do so because this matter was related to the winged tiger. If they could not resolve the issue of who the winged tiger belonged to, they would not be able to help Genshin. Otherwise, it would only worsen the conflict between the protector clans. It looks like it's time to tell everyone this news. Yuan Qingzi is right. Poseidon is indeed still alive. He still exists, Tianjian said. His voice was calm and steady. Tianjian, how are you so sure that Poseidon is still alive? Tianjian, since you know that Poseidon is still alive, why didn't you tell us earlier? The two people in charge asked at the same time. Chapter 860. Tianjian said calmly, many years ago my origin spirit fused with the Divine Hall. I borrowed the power of the Divine Hall to peer into the world. I once sensed a powerful and terrifying power from the sea race. I was certain that she was the sea god. As for why I didn't tell you this news, do you think it's good news? It's not good to know, and it'll only increase your worries. Everyone understood. The news about Poseidon had placed an extremely great pressure on them. If it were possible, they would rather not know about it. Now that Genshin has entered the sea realm with the winged tiger, what do you think we should do? A member of the Protector clan asked with a heavy voice. Many of the people present became extremely heavy. With the current strength of the Tianyuan continent, the sea realm was a forbidden zone to them, without a doubt. Even if they gathered all the power of the continent, they would not be able to stop one of the 4 experts who had surpassed the Holy Emperor. Even if they worked together with the Beast God continent, they probably would not be Poseidon's opponent. The Protector clans were ancient clans that had existed since ancient times. They possessed many records, so they understood the power and terror of those who had surpassed the Holy Emperor extremely well. I feel like this matter is rather strange. Since Poseidon is still alive, why haven't we heard any news about her after so many years? As a matter of fact, everyone thinks that she's already passed away, an old man analyzed. Many people were stunned at first when they heard that, but the light in their eyes began to flicker. A middle-aged man said, I think that's reasonable. Since Poseidon is still alive, why does she keep such a low profile? That doesn't make sense. Is she hiding from something? Or has she always been in a slumber and only just awakened? The Holy Emperor has a lifespan of 6,000 years, while the Holy Emperor has a lifespan of 10,000 years. Poseidon has surpassed the Holy Emperor's strength. Although her lifespan is much longer than the Holy Emperor's, so much time has already passed since ancient times. It's impossible for her to still be alive no matter how long her lifespan is. Could it be that the current Poseidon is just a primordial spirit left behind back then? If it's just a primordial spirit, then there's nothing to be afraid of. The members of the 10 great guardian families voiced their own speculations and opinions. Poseidon saved Genshin at a crucial moment, so I think she definitely knows about the winged tiger's existence. She'll definitely try to take the winged tiger for herself. The Beast God continent is in even more of a hurry to take back the winged tiger than we are, so a conflict with the sea race is unavoidable. Since that's the case, why don't we just watch from the sidelines and let them fight until both sides are injured? We might even be able to reap the benefits, someone suggested. That's right, and we can use the Beast God continent to probe Poseidon's situation. At this moment, a furious roar rang out from the depths of a mountain where the energy of the world was abundant. Heavenly enchantress, you bitch! I was so infatuated with you, yet you treat me like this. You even tried to stop me from killing Jianqin. You bastards! Bastards! I'll definitely make you regret this. Jianqin, you bastard! Bastard! You stole the love of my life. I'll definitely make you suffer so much that you'll wish you were dead. So what if you fled to the sea race? I won't let a single one of your family go. I'll bathe the eternal flame mercenaries in blood. Cough, cough, bye-bye, calm down. Jianqin's family is protected by a great elder from Chanyang Prefecture. You can't do anything stupid. Remember not to clash with them openly. We can't afford to offend the protector clans. By Yifei's weak voice rang out from the cave. Father, I know what I should do, Bai Yifei said as he panted. His eyes were red as he gasped for breath. The anger in his heart had already reached its peak. Chanyang Ziyun stood by the window of her room in the Chanyang Prefecture of Lore City. She stared blankly in the direction of the main entrance of Chanyang Prefecture. Her face was filled with sorrow. Kong, where are you? Chanyang Zhu Yeyun sorrowfully said. She had never left Luo Er's side in the past few years, silently waiting for her son's return. She had already lost count of how many times she had said the same thing. Sigh, another few years have passed. Kong, Er's lifespan is getting shorter and shorter. It's just a pity that we can't find him at all with how vast the world is. Changyang Zianshao also sighed sorrowfully. He also felt extremely sad. The Flame mercenaries had undergone a lot of changes in the past 4 years. The original city walls had been torn down long ago, and they had begun the unprecedented project of using tungsten alloy to build the city. Under the combined efforts of several 100,000 craftsmen, pieces of tungsten alloy were piled up one by one, creating 30-meter-tall city walls. After 4 years, a third of the reconstruction of Flame City had already been completed. The scale of the Flame mercenaries' work this time had shaken up quite a large portion of the continent, attracting the attention of various large organizations. As for Sima Yuyu and Bai Lian, they had begun to assign more tasks to their subordinates over the years. They spent more time on cultivation. Both of them had their bodies modified by the heavenly resources Jianqin had left behind, so their cultivation speed far exceeded that of ordinary people. Under the personal guidance of the 2 saint rulers, Bai Hai and Jetta Tai, their progress could be said to be extremely fast. They already possessed the strength of a great saint master. Ming Dong, Tai Ta, Little Fatty, Wang Yifeng, and Dugafeng had always remained in seclusion. They had never appeared before anyone, so no one knew what level of strength they had reached. At the top of a tower in the Clan of the Ancients, the head of the Clan of the Ancients was standing respectfully in front of a big iron gate. Ancestor, I've already found out that your new disciple Huangwan has already reached the 3rd cycle of Earth Saint Master. She's currently cultivating under the personal guidance of the ancestor of the Huang family, Huang Tianba. The 3rd cycle of Earth Saint Master. That's a little slow. If this continues, she'll need at least a decade or so to become a Heaven Saint Master. It looks like it's time for me to bring that girl over. Only by following me will her cultivation speed increase, allowing her to become a Heaven Saint Master in the shortest amount of time possible. An old but powerful voice rang out from behind the metal door. It was the ancestor of the Clan of the Ancients. In the depths of the sea, Gath City was an extremely famous city within a radius of several tens of thousands of kilometers. It occupied a vast area and had a large population. It was a bustling city. Jianqin and newbies followed Kea. When they were 10 kilometers away from the city, the number of people in the surroundings gradually increased. Almost all of them were members of the sea race with blue hair and skin. Other than that, they looked exactly the same as the humans of the Tianyuan continent. Gath City is a king-tier city. Only Poseidon warriors above the 13th star can fly. If you too have reached the 13th star, You can directly fly without paying the entrance fee. Kea stared at Jianchen and Nubis with shining eyes. Jianchen looked into the distance and discovered that everyone who wanted to enter the city had to pay a certain amount of crystal coins to the soldiers. Jianchen took out a 100-year-old heavenly resource from his space ring and said, "Miss Kea, we've run out of crystal coins. We'd like to use this heavenly resource to exchange for some crystal coins from you." Kea smiled and took out a bulging pouch from her space ring. She said, "Warriors, here are 100 supreme quality crystal coins. Please take it as a gift from me, Kea. Please take back this heavenly resource." Jianchen pondered and took the pouch from Kea. He said, "If that's the case, we'll take it as owing you, Miss Kea. We'll repay you in the future if there's a chance." Jianchen and Nubis separated from Kea outside the city. After paying the entrance fee with a single crystal coin, they disappeared into the crowd with Nubis. "Miss, could it be that you know those two unknown warriors? Why are you so generous as to give them 100 crystal coins?" "That's not a small amount," a guard asked in confusion after Jianchen and Nubis had left. Kaya stared at the two of them as they vanished into the sea of people. She said, "I practice the innate spiritualization technique so I can see certain things better than others. I trust my instincts. The two of them are not simple. If we can form a good relationship with them this time, it might be very beneficial to our tribe in the future. But no buts. Let's go into the city." In the city of gas, Jianchen and Nubis strolled along the bustling streets. Nubis had purposely changed his blonde hair and clothes to blue in order to not attract attention, while Jianchen still looked the same. It was almost time for the once-in-a-century auction in Gas City, so everyone was talking about it on the streets. "I heard that many treasures will appear in the auction this time, attracting many people from large tribes. There will definitely be a fierce battle. I heard that there will be 3 Earth-level battle saint techniques in the auction this time. I wonder if that's true." Battle saint techniques were equivalent to battle skills on the Tianyuan continent, except they were called by a different name. The Sea Race divided the battle saint techniques into 4 levels: Heaven, Earth, Profound, and Yellow. Heaven level was the highest, equivalent to saint level battle skills on the Tianyuan continent, while Yellow level was the lowest. It was equivalent to human level battle skills on the Tianyuan continent. It's not just the Earth level battle saint techniques. I heard that there's a Heaven level battle saint technique being auctioned as well, but it doesn't seem to be complete. It can only be used for 6 hours. The Mercury liquid is also being auctioned in this auction. The Mercury liquid is a product of the Sea of Despair. It is produced by the heavens and earth and is extremely rare. It is a sacred item of our sea race. Drinking a mouthful of it can transform a person with mediocre talent into a cultivation genius that only appears once every 1,000 years. I heard that there's also a Class 8 Radiant Spirit pill being auctioned. It was brought from the distant Tianyuan continent. It's an extremely precious healing pill. It's priceless. There's a fragment of the legendary map of the 8 Wastelands being auctioned. It was left behind by the 17-star 8 Wastelands Emperor 10,000 years ago. It's the key to the 8 Wastelands Divine Palace. It contains the inheritance and treasures of the 8 Wastelands Emperor. There's a total of 8 fragments of the map of the 8 Wastelands. It's said that 7 of them have already appeared, and they're all controlled by the 7 large tribes. This seems to be the last one. Jianchen and Nubis strolled through the streets unhurriedly. They observed the customs of the sea race as they listened to the conversations of the people around them. This emperor of the 8 Wastelands Divine Palace was actually a 17-star expert. According to the classification of strength of the sea race, he should be a holy emperor, a dwelling left behind by a holy emperor. Interesting, interesting, Nubis murmured as he stroked his chin. His eyes were filled with great interest. Just when Jianchen wanted to tell Nubis to keep a low profile, Ziying's voice rang out in his head before he could say anything. Master, I've found another material for forging the azulite swords. It's 10 kilometers in front of you. Chapter 861. What? You found another material? Jianqin was overjoyed. He immediately sped up. After traveling 10 kilometers, Jianqin arrived in front of a huge castle. He had learned from Ziying that the materials for forging the azulite swords were in the castle. Gas auction house. Looking at the majestic words on the castle, Jianqin understood that the materials for forging the azulite swords would most likely appear in the form of an auction. Every single material used to forge the azulite swords was extremely rare, and they were extremely unique. They could not be destroyed easily. Aside from a few that had some uses, most of the other materials could not be used by the people of this world. However, because of their rarity and uniqueness, they possessed a certain value. Many people of high status collected them and treated them as treasures. Master, this material is called holy water of the Sea of Spirits. It's a liquid that only forms in the Sea of Spirits after countless years. It has extremely wondrous effects. If anyone below the level of the Holy Emperor drinks it, not only will their strength greatly increase, but it can also condense their soul. Ziying's voice rang out in Jianqin's head, explaining the effects of the holy water of the Sea of Spirits in detail to Jianqin. Ziying, why do I feel like the holy water of the Sea of Spirits is something that can increase strength and not a material for forging weapons? Jianqin asked out of curiosity. Master, you might not know this, but the holy water of the Sea of Spirits is filled with natural spiritual energy. When forging the azulite swords, if it is added, the quality of the swords will greatly increase. It can even directly raise the quality of the swords from low-quality immortal artifacts to peak-quality immortal artifacts, Ziying explained. Jianqin understood and thought. Since the holy water of the Sea of Spirits is so useful to saint rulers, there must be many people fighting over it. I need to get some currency here. Anyway, I can't let anyone else buy it. If someone drinks it as soon as they buy it, I'll be missing out. Although Jianqin had a large amount of purple coins on him, the currency of the Tianyuan continent was worthless to the sea race. It was completely useless here. Jianqin, what are you standing there for? Newbies could not help but ask out of curiosity when he saw Jianqin standing there without moving. Jianqin looked at the auction house and said, There's something I need in there. We need to find a way to get some crystal coins. That's easy. Let's go steal some in the wilderness, Newbies said confidently. Jianqin laughed involuntarily with that. Newbies, to think that you're the mighty serpent emperor. You're actually doing something like this as a class 7 magical beast. Newbies scratched its head and chuckled. It's the law of the jungle. This is the law of survival in this world, so there's nothing to be ashamed of. However, it is indeed rather embarrassing for us to rob people for mere crystal coins with our status. Whatever, Jianqin, I'll listen to what you have to say. I wonder if you have any ideas on how to make money. Jianqin pondered for a moment before saying, There's still half a month before the auction. There's still time. Let's find an inn to stay in first and think of a way to earn crystal coins. If it really doesn't work, I'll just have to auction off some of the valuable treasures in my space ring. Jianqin really did not want to sell the things in his space ring unless it was absolutely necessary. This was because out of all the valuable things on him, probably only the 10,000-year-old treasures and the dragon's saliva grass could be accepted by the sea race. It would be a pity to sell those things. As for the monster cores, they were not as useful to the sea race as humans, so they were not worth much. Moreover, the energy in many of the high-level monster cores had solidified and been lost in large quantities, making them even less valuable. At this moment, the conversation of a passerby attracted Jianqin's attention. The Dal tribe is done for this time. They've actually offended the Menghuang tribe. The Menghuang tribe is a famous tribe within a radius of 50,000 kilometers. It's said that there are 3 13-star Poseidon warriors in the tribe. 3 13-star Poseidon warriors are enough to sweep through all the organizations within a radius of several tens of thousand kilometers. No one can stand up to them. It's said that the old patriarch of the Menghuang tribe is still alive. He's already at the 14-star Poseidon warrior level. He's one of the peak experts within a radius of 100,000 kilometers. I've also heard that the old patriarch of the Menghuang tribe is on good terms with an emissary of the serpent god Hull. Many other large tribes dare not offend them. Only the patriarch of the Dal tribe has reached the 13-star Poseidon warrior level. I'd like to see how they fend off the attack of the Menghuang tribe this time. I've heard that the Dal tribe's territory has a spirit vein that produces crystal coins. They're able to obtain a large amount of crystal coins every year, making many tribes within a radius of several tens of thousands of kilometers envious. The Menghuang tribe seems to have set their sights on the spirit vein that the Dal tribe occupies, which is why they want to take it for themselves. It looks like the spirit vein is destined to belong to the Menghuang tribe. That's not necessarily the case. I've heard that the Dal tribe has already spent a lot of money to gather experts from all over the place. They plan on fighting the Menghuang tribe to the death. Becoming enemies with the Menghuang tribe isn't a wise choice. I don't think anyone would actually dare to do that. Jianqin immediately fell into deep thought when he heard that. The light in his eyes flickered with uncertainty. Jianqin, don't tell me you're thinking about helping the Dal tribe fend off the Menghuang tribe. Newbies could not help but ask when he saw Jianqin's expression. The Dal tribe only has a single 13-star Poseidon warrior. He's probably below the 5th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler, so the difference between them and the Menghuang tribe is far too great. If they want to find someone who can fend off the Menghuang tribe, they'll have to pay quite a price. Perhaps we can try it and use the opportunity to earn some crystal coins, Jianqin said after some thought. It's extremely likely for our presences to be sensed by the Saint Ruler of the sea race when we fight. If they discover that we're outsiders, we might run into a lot of trouble in the future, Newbie said. Let's find an inn to stay in first and slowly think about it, Jianqin suggested. Afterward, Jianqin and Newbies found a rather large inn to stay in. Jianqin and Newbies gathered in a large and comfortable room to discuss matters. They had just arrived in the sea race, and only the sea race possessed the strength to fend off the protector clans of the Tian Yuan continent and the beast god continent. They would definitely be staying in the sea race for quite some time in the future, so Jianqin and Newbies kept a relatively low profile. They did not want to cause too much trouble and become the public enemy of the sea race. The bodies of the sea race are no different from humans. The only problem is our presences. It'll be great if we can hide our presences. That way, we won't have to keep such a low profile, Jianqin murmured. As soon as he reached there, Jianqin's face suddenly changed. He suddenly looked behind him, and his indifferent gaze sharpened at that moment. Newbies also looked back when he sensed Jianqin's movement. His face immediately changed drastically from what he saw. His gaze immediately became extremely sharp as vast energy churned within him. He was ready to fight at any time. A faint figure rapidly condensed in the direction the two of them were looking at. It hovered 1/2 meter above the ground. It was a woman in blue robes with long blue hair. She possessed a devilish figure, but her appearance was a blur. It was impossible to make out what she looked like. "Who are you?" Jianqin asked with a heavy voice. He was stern. If it were not for the fact that his soul had become much more powerful after absorbing the yin and yang qi, he would not have sensed the woman's appearance at all. At the same time, he could clearly sense that the woman's figure was completely condensed from his soul. "Jianqin, who I am is not important. All you need to know is that I have no ill intentions towards you." The woman's clear voice rang out. It was as pleasant as the chirping of a skylark. "How do you know my name?" Jianqin's face became extremely ugly. Newbies' face suddenly changed as well. The woman knew Jianqin's name so easily. Did that not mean that she knew everything about Jianqin on the Tianyuan continent? I have no ill intentions towards you, so there's no need for you to be wary. I've specially come to help you this time, the woman said softly. Afterward, she did not seem to move at all, but 2 thumb-sized blue beads suddenly appeared. They hovered before Jianqin and Newbies. These are water spirit beads. I refined them from the Niden of the sea race. All you need to do is consume them, and they'll completely conceal your presence as an outsider. They won't harm you at all. Who are you? Why are you helping us? Jianqin and Newbies did not accept the Niden. The 2 of them were extremely curious about the woman's identity. You'll naturally know who I am in the future. Jianqin, I've helped you twice. You have to help me in the future, said the woman. You've helped me twice. Jianqin was confused. If it weren't for me, would you have been able to escape from the hands of the human experts? That was the first time I helped you, giving you the water spirit beads. Now is the second time I've helped you. Jianqin, as long as you're with the sea race, I'll help you keep the experts of the Beast God continent and the Tianyuan continent at bay. You'll have nothing to worry about. Once you're powerful enough in the future, I only want you to do one thing for me. What do you want me to do? If it's beyond what I can do, I'll probably have to disappoint you, said Jianqin. I've searched the entire world. Perhaps only you have the ability. If even you can't do it, then there's no one else in the world who has the ability. You'll naturally know what I want you to do in the future. The woman's voice was clear and pleasant, but it also seemed unfathomable. Moreover, there are a total of 8 fragments of the 8 wastelands. 7 of them are in the possession of the 7 great tribes. The auction this time will be the last one, so you must obtain it. It'll be of great use to you in the future. You're currently in the territory of the Serpent God Hall. If you can't stay here in the future, go to the Poseidon Hall. You'll be safe there. Chapter 862. Jianqin and Newbies both sank into their thoughts. Every single word the illusionary woman had said echoed through their heads, but they were even more curious about her identity. However, the 2 of them knew that since the woman was bold enough to say that she would stop the experts of the Tianyuan continent and the Beast God continent, she was definitely extremely powerful and possessed an extraordinary status in the sea race. Jianqin, do you think the words of that mysterious woman can be trusted? Are the 2 water spirit pearls she gave us really harmless? Newbies turned to Jianqin. Jianqin stared at the 2 water spirit pearls for a while before replying. It doesn't matter if what the mysterious woman said was true or not. Since she has a favor to ask of me, she probably won't harm us. I'll ingest one of the water spirit pearls first and see if they're as wondrous as she says they are. With that, Jianqin directly grabbed the floating water spirit pearl and swallowed it. Jianqin only felt a refreshing sensation spread through every corner of his body when the pearl entered his stomach. He did not feel any discomfort at all. Jianqin closed his eyes and carefully checked his body. Only when he did not find anything wrong did he slowly open his eyes. He said to Newbies, there shouldn't be any harm. Newbies stared at Jianqin in surprise. He sighed in amazement. Jianqin, I can feel that your presence has changed a little. You've actually become exactly the same as the people of the sea race. Looks like the mysterious woman didn't lie to us. The water spirit pearls really can change the presence of outsiders. Immediately, Newbies stopped hesitating. He grabbed the orb that hovered before him and swallowed it. As the pearl entered his stomach, Jianqin could clearly sense that Newbies' presence was rapidly changing. His magical beast presence had been concealed and replaced by a presence that was exactly the same as the people of the sea race. Jianqin could not help but smile happily when he saw this. He said, Newbies, your presence has changed as well. I can't sense the magical beast presence on you with my current abilities. It's all good now. Our worries from before have been completely eliminated. From now on, we don't have to worry so much when we move around the sea race. Yeah, we can move around the sea race as we please from now on. Oh, right, Jianqin, don't you need to earn a large amount of crystal coins? We just happened to be able to help the Dal tribe fend off the invasion of the Menghuang tribe. Since the Dal tribe possesses a spirit vein that produces crystal coins, they must be extremely wealthy. We have to rip them off as much as we can, Newbies said. The smile on Gentian's face gradually disappeared as soon as they began to talk about serious matters. He lowered his head in thought and said, "We've heard from passers-by that the Menghuang tribe has 3 13-star Poseidon warriors and 1 14-star Poseidon warrior. According to our continent's ranking, 13-star Poseidon warriors should be below the 5th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler, while 14-star Poseidon warriors should be above the 5th heavenly layer. If the Menghuang tribe really only has this much strength, then the 2 of us should be able to deal with them easily. Why don't we go investigate the Menghuang tribe's strength and see if they have any Holy Emperor-level experts? As long as they don't have any Holy Emperor-level experts, nothing will be a problem," Newbies said. "That works too. Gas City is a large city, so there should be a place to sell information. Let's go investigate the exact strength of the Menghuang tribe first," Gentian said before leaving the inn with Newbies. Gentian and Newbies walked through the streets. After some investigation, they finally found a place that sold all sorts of top-secret information. This was a small building called Tianxia Access. It was built from limestone and had traces of time on it. Clearly, it had been there for a very long time. The building was very quiet and the decorations were very simple. There was no one else there aside from Jianqin and Newbies. "2 brave warriors, you must be here to inquire about the auction. 2 brave warriors, please wait a moment. During this period of time, many people have come here to inquire about the auction. Currently, several managers are receiving guests upstairs. They will be done very soon." A voice came from behind the counter, not far away. Jianchen and Newbies looked up and saw a young man looking at them from behind the counter. He was very small, and he was only a meter tall. Jianchen walked in front of the counter and said to the young man, "I hear you guys have access to all sorts of information. Is that true?" "2 brave warriors. It seems like you don't understand the capabilities of Tianxia. We have many members, and we can be found throughout the entire sea region. Although our strength isn't top-notch, no one in the entire sea region dares to compete with us when it comes to information gathering," the young man said solemnly. He was very confident in himself. "All right then. I want to know the exact strength of the Menghuang tribe," Gentian said. The young man could not help but study Gentian and Newbies carefully. He immediately became respectful and said hurriedly, "My 2 respected heroes, you must be going to help the Dal tribe. I just happen to know everything about the Menghuang tribe, so allow me to tell you. However, according to the rules, you will have to pay 10 high-grade crystal coins as a reward." An hour later, Jianchen and Newbies left Tianxia Access. He had already learned about the exact situation of the Menghuang tribe from Tianxia Access. Although the information differed slightly from what he had heard from passers-by, it was basically the same. The Menghuang tribe had 3 saint rulers below the 5th heavenly layer and 1 saint ruler above the 5th heavenly layer. Jianchen did not take them seriously, but what Jianchen and Newbies really cared about was that there was a member of the Menghuang tribe with outstanding talent who was an envoy of the Divine Hall. It was said that he had even been accepted as a disciple by a Hall elder of the Serpent God Hall. He possessed quite the status in the Serpent God Hall. The Dal tribe was not far from Gas City. It was only 10,000 kilometers away. Jianchen investigated the exact location of the Dal tribe before hurrying over with Newbies. The Dal tribe was a medium-sized tribe with a population of more than 10,000. They occupied a piece of flat land, surrounded by many small lofts made of bluestone bricks. Only in the center was a castle building that occupied an area of several thousand square meters. Jianchen and Newbies flew over from Gas City. They did not use the main entrance and directly arrived at the center of the Dal tribe. They stopped before the castle. "Who is it?" "Everyone be on guard." The 2 of them had arrived with great fanfare, immediately alarming the entire Dal tribe. Many Heaven Saint Masters immediately flew over from the surroundings. They surrounded Jianqin and newbies along with a few Earth Saint Masters. "Warriors, who are you? Please state your intentions." An old Heaven Saint Master growled. He was stern, as if he was facing a great enemy. The other people were all on guard as well. They glared at Jianqin and newbies, but they did not do anything rash. Newbies crossed his arms and sneered at the people around him. His face was filled with disdain. Jianqin remained indifferent. He glanced at the people around him and calmly asked, "Is this the Doll tribe?" "Correct, we are the Doll tribe." "May I ask who you are?" It was still the same old man who had spoken before. He seemed to have realized that Jianqin and newbies were not enemies now, so he could not help but speak with a gentler tone. "The two of us have come to help you deal with the Menghang tribe. Is this how you welcome your helpers?" Jianqin stared at the old man and casually asked. The old man rejoiced when he heard that. His attitude immediately changed. He smiled from ear to ear and said, "So the two of you are esteemed guests of my Doll tribe. Please come in, please come in. We thought you were from the Menghuang tribe before, so please forgive us if we have offended you in any way." The old man did not mention the fact that Jianqin and newbies had barged into the Doll tribe. He politely invited the two of them into the castle. Jianqin and newbies met the Grand Elder of the Doll tribe in the majestic castle. The Grand Elder was also a Heaven Saint Master. He had already reached the peak of the 6th cycle, only a step away from Saint Ruler. His status in the Doll tribe was only second to the Patriarch. Old Man Doll tribe's Grand Elder, Lorkisk, welcomes the two of you who have come to assist our Doll tribe in fending off the Menghuang tribe. May I ask for your names? The Grand Elder smiled at Jianqin and newbies. His old eyes flickered with light as he constantly studied Jianqin and newbies, as if he wanted to see through them completely. "I am Yang Yutian, and this is my good friend, newbies. Grand Elder, may I ask how great of a reward your Doll tribe is willing to give us for helping you fend off the people of the Menghuang tribe? If it's not enough." Jianqin could not be bothered to waste time with the Grand Elder, so he directly cut to the chase. The Grand Elder did not mind Jianqin's straightforwardness at all. He smiled, "Don't worry, warriors. In order to protect the peace of the tribe this time and prevent it from being swallowed up by the Menghuang tribe, our Doll tribe has paid a huge price. As long as we can fend off the attacks of the Menghuang tribe and heavily injure them, we're willing to take out all of our crystal coins as a reward." "I hope the Grand Elder can provide a specific amount," Jianqin smiled. The Chief Elder chuckled and said, "At present, our Doll tribe can come up with a total of 10 million premium crystal coins. These 10 million premium crystal coins will be distributed according to the strength and meritorious service of the warriors who have assisted our Doll tribe. The stronger the warrior, the more crystal coins he will receive." Jianqin and newbies looked at each other. They were both stunned by the wealth of the Doll tribe. Although they had only just arrived in the sea race, they still understood the value of crystal coins extremely well. A single supreme grade crystal coin was equivalent to 100 high-grade crystal coins, 10,000 mid-grade crystal coins, and 100,000 low-grade crystal coins. For a force of the Doll tribe scale to be able to take out 5 million supreme grade crystal coins at once, they were already considered very wealthy. For the Doll tribe to be able to take out 10 million supreme grade crystal coins at once, it had to be said that the Doll tribe was extremely wealthy. 10 million supreme grade crystal coins was a considerable amount of wealth in the sea race, enough to match the wealth of some large tribes. Chapter 863. Newbie's words immediately made the Grand Elder of the Doll tribe's face stiffen. He seemed to be in a difficult spot. Noticing the Grand Elder's expression, Jianqin asked, "Grand Elder, is there something wrong?" Jianqin's voice was rather heavy. Perhaps sensing that Jianqin and newbies were displeased, the Grand Elder immediately asked, Warriors, may I ask how many stars you've reached? Looks like the Grand Elder is worried about our strength. Please don't worry about that. If the Menghuang tribe really only has what they seem to have, the two of us will naturally be able to deal with them easily, Jianchen swore. Could it be that the strength of the two warriors has already reached the 14-star stage? The Great Elder couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. His expression was wild with joy. Jianchen and newbies smiled mysteriously, but they said nothing. The Great Elder of the Dal tribe stood up and said, "Warriors, please wait for a moment. I'll go and invite the chief here right away. Men, take good care of these two respected warriors for me." With that, the Great Elder left in a hurry, filled with excitement. After the Grand Elder left, only Jianchen and newbies remained in the large hall. There are 3 saint rulers in the Dal tribe. One of them should be the patriarch, while the other 2 should be experts of the sea race who have come to help the Dal tribe deal with the Menghuang tribe, Jianchen gently said. He was extremely indifferent. Newbies nodded. I can sense that as well. Looks like they're all our competitors. We can deal with the Menghuang tribe with just the 2 of us. There's no need for extra people to get involved, or the crystal coins we can get will become less and less. We need to chase away all our competitors. That's right, Jianchen agreed. Soon, the chief of the Dal tribe and the chief elder arrived at the main hall. The chief of the Dal tribe was a burly middle-aged man with a bald head and a resolute face. He wore an aqua blue singlet that exposed his thick arms. The distinct muscles on his arms gave a strong visual impact. His lower body was only covered by a pair of shorts that only covered his knees. Jianchen could not help but think of the mercenaries who spent all their time on the Tianyuan continent with his appearance. Ha ha ha! Welcome to our Dal tribe, 2 mighty warriors. Your presence brings light to our humble dwelling. As soon as the chief of the Dal tribe entered the main hall, he laughed heartily and spoke in a very heroic manner. After exchanging some pleasantries with the patriarch of the Dal tribe, Jianchen entered the main topic. I have already heard from the Grand Elder on the way that the 2 of you want all of the 10 million supreme quality crystal coins. Is that true? The patriarch asked seriously. His eyes flickered with shrewdness as he stared at Jianchen and Nuanyuan closely. That's right. We'll take all of the 10 million crystal coins. We'll help you fend off the 4 experts of the Menghuang tribe, newbies said boldly. He did not take the saint rulers of the Menghuang tribe seriously at all. Do you know the strength of the Menghuang tribe? Do you really have the confidence to fend off the 4 of them? The patriarch asked. You don't need to worry. As long as they're not 15th star Poseidon warriors or have not grasped a Tian-level saint technique, they won't be a threat to us. Newbies was filled with confidence. The chief of the Dal tribe immediately showed a hint of joy on his face, but it was quickly followed by a hint of awkwardness. He said, The strength of these 2 warriors has shocked me. However, 2 13-star and 14-star warriors from our Dal tribe have already arrived, and we've already negotiated with them. Isn't that simple? Just chase the 2 of them away, newbies said. Chase them away? Humph. I'd like to see who's so arrogant as to boast like that. As soon as newbies finished speaking, an old, furious voice rang out from outside. With that, a black-robed old man strode in with a furious expression. Behind the black-robed old man was a middle-aged man in blue robes. At this moment, the middle-aged man's face was filled with anger. The 2 of them were the 2 experts who had arrived before Jianchen and newbies to help the Dal tribe fend off the Menghuang tribe. The patriarch of the Dal tribe immediately stood up and greeted the 2 of them. He was extremely polite. The 2 of them were no weaker than him. So, as the patriarch, he needed to consider everyone in the tribe. He could not offend a saint ruler so easily. Moreover, the 2 saint rulers had come to assist the Dal tribe in fending off the Menghuang tribe. The prideful newbies did not treat the 2 of them politely at all. He coldly glanced at the 2 of them, and a sliver of disdain appeared in his eyes. He coldly said, Looks like you don't know how to spell the word death if you dare to speak to the great newbies like that. Old man, if you know what's good for you, piss off immediately or I'll destroy your soul." The black-robed old man flew into a rage. His gaze suddenly became fierce as he shouted, "You brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You actually dare to be so arrogant. Let me see if you have the qualifications to be arrogant." With that, the old man formed a claw with his hand and reached toward Newbies with lightning-like speed. At the same time, the space around Newbies froze at that moment. The black-robed old man had already used spatial force to imprison Newbies' body. Newbies sneered. With a gentle jerk of his body, the frozen space in the surroundings immediately shattered. He clenched his hand into a fist and punched out with an unstoppable presence. The fist and palm collided, erupting with a heavy sound. The powerful force that shot out in all directions caused the entire hall to violently shake. If it were not for the patriarch of the doll tribe who had protected the hall with his own strength at that crucial moment, the entire hall probably would have collapsed. The black-robed old man immediately paled. He staggered back a few steps, leaving behind a deep footprint with each step. He only managed to stabilize himself after taking over a dozen steps back. He could no longer endure it and immediately vomited a mouthful of blood. He was quite heavily injured. On the other hand, Newbies remained composed. He stood where he was at ease, and he did not even tremble. Newbies' original form was a golden-striped silver snake, so his battle prowess was extremely great. Coupled with the fact that he was a 9th heavenly layer Saint Ruler, it was difficult for him to find an opponent at the same level as him. Probably only a supreme expert like the Holy Emperor could suppress him. Although the black-robed old man was a 14th star Poseidon warrior, he was only a 7th heavenly layer Saint Ruler. How could he be Newbies' opponent? Not only did Newbies' strength shock the black-robed old man, but even the patriarch of the doll tribe was extremely shocked. Newbies' strength had completely exceeded what the patriarch had expected. Very soon, the patriarch returned to his senses. He immediately ran to the center and stopped the two of them. He begged, "Please calm down, warriors. Please calm down. Why are you making such a big fuss over such a small matter? My tiny territory can't endure the two of you." Jianqin stood up from his chair and looked at the two of them. He clasped his hands. "Excuse me. Please leave. We need crystal coins urgently, so we'll be taking all 10 million of them." The black-robed old man paled. He clasped his hands at Newbies and emotionlessly said, "I admire your strength. I, the Crab King, won't be participating in this matter. Patriarch, since you've invited even more powerful warriors, there's no need for me to stay. Farewell." With that, the black-robed old man turned around and left. The patriarch of the doll tribe sighed and sighed before pulling out a space bell from his space ring and tossing it to the black-robed old man. He said, "Crab King, I'm really sorry about this matter. There are 100,000 high-grade crystal coins and 10,000 supreme-grade crystal coins in there. Just treat it as a gift from the doll tribe to you." The black-robed old man did not refuse. He accepted the space belt from the patriarch of the doll tribe and quickly checked its contents. His expression immediately eased up, and he clasped his hands at the patriarch of the doll tribe. "Thank you." The patriarch of the doll tribe finally let out a breath of relief. The old man before him was much more powerful than him, so his doll tribe could not afford to offend him. After the black-robed old man left, the other middle-aged man who had come to assist the doll tribe did not stay for long either. He left after exchanging some pleasantries with Jianqin and Newbies. He no longer dared to show any displeasure on his face. Newbies' strength had deeply shocked him. However, before he left, the patriarch of the doll tribe still gave him the same amount of crystal coins as a gift, so that he could resolve some of the displeasure between the two of them. Grand Elder immediately announced that our doll tribe has already found enough experts to deal with the Menghuang tribe. We're officially withdrawing the announcement of hiring experts. the patriarch of the Dal tribe immediately ordered. He was afraid that another saint ruler would come to the Dal tribe's aid, only to return in disgrace in the end. Afterward, the patriarch of the Dal tribe invited Gentian and newbies to a secret room to discuss the exact situation. After witnessing newbies heavily injure a 14th star Poseidon warrior with a single punch, the patriarch of the Dal tribe finally stopped worrying about Gentian and newbies. He was certain that the two of them did indeed possess the strength to deal with the Menghuang tribe. Patriarch, may I ask when the Menghuang tribe will attack? Gentian asked. Chapter 864. Patriarch, there just happens to be something we need at the auction this time. Once the auction begins, please come with us to the auction and buy what we need, Gentian said. The patriarch of the Dal tribe hesitated when he heard that. Gentian knew what the patriarch was worried about. He said, "Don't worry, patriarch. We're not people who go back on our words. Since we've said it, we'll definitely do it. Once the auction is over, we'll definitely help you deal with the Menghuang tribe. If the Menghuang tribe doesn't come, we'll take the initiative to attack the Menghuang tribe. How does that sound?" All right. Since you've said that, I'll definitely do my best to cooperate with you." The patriarch smiled easily. Afterwards, Jianqin and newbies stayed in the Dal tribe to guard against a sudden attack from the Menghuang tribe. They were warmly welcomed by the entire tribe, enjoying the treatment of kings. At the same time, the news that the Dal tribe had found an expert who could deal with the Menghuang tribe spread. It caused quite a stir in the outside world. Aside from the centennial auction in Gas City, everyone else was talking about the conflict between the Dal tribe and the Menghuang tribe. The difference in strength between the two tribes was huge, but they both had saint rulers. On the Tianyuan continent, the Dal tribe could be considered a hermit clan. Within 100,000 kilometers of the sea race, the Dal tribe was one of the largest tribes that stood at the apex. The conflict between the two tribes obviously attracted the attention of many people. In a primeval forest that was 50,000 kilometers away from the Dal tribe, there was a large area of small lofts that were completely built from trees all around. There was an endless stream of pedestrians in between the lofts. From time to time, there would be sounds of laughter and chatter. The atmosphere was lively and full of vitality. This was the famed large tribe within 100,000 kilometers, the Menghuang tribe. In the center of the Meng Baron tribe, there was a tall tower made entirely of rock. This tower was the holiest place in the Meng Baron tribe. Its existence represented the peace and strength of the Meng Baron tribe for generations. This was because the four most powerful guardians of the Meng Baron tribe lived in this tower. At this moment, four old men sat around a stone table at the very top of the tower. They were all stern. "I've just received news that the Dal tribe has found an expert who can fight against our Menghuang tribe. I wonder if this is true." He was the current chief of the Meng Desolate tribe, while the other three were the two guardian elders and the strongest of the three, the old patriarch. "It seems that the Dal tribe is prepared to fight to the death with our Meng Desolate tribe. I wonder how strong the expert they have invited is," a guardian elder said in a low voice. "Although the Dal tribe has some crystal coins, they definitely won't be able to invite a true expert with that amount of crystal coins. Moreover, our Menghuang tribe is renowned. An outstanding clansman has been chosen as an emissary of the Serpent God Hall, so his status is great. In the territory of the Serpent God Hall, aside from the peak tribes and clans, no one dares to not show us some respect. As a result, I'm certain that the news that the Dal tribe has released is false. Their goal is to make us fear them, and the helpers they've invited are not sincere in helping them. They only want to scam us of our crystal coins, so there's no need for us to pay any attention to this matter at all. Once the auction is over, we'll lead the experts of our tribe directly to the Dal tribe," another guardian elder analyzed. "Old chief, what do you think?" The current chief asked the old chief, who had been sitting there with his eyes closed the entire time. The old tribal chief slowly opened his eyes and said, "Although our Meng Desolate tribe has a great reputation, and many large tribes have to show us respect, It's not like we don't have any enemies. I'm guessing that among the experts that the Dal tribe has invited, there may be some of our past enemies. Therefore, this matter cannot be taken lightly. Now that the auction is about to begin in Gath City, the final map fragment of the 8 Wastelands will appear as well. Many large tribes and even peak tribes will fight over it, so it's unwise for us to start a war before the auction begins. Once the auction is over, the 3 of you should go to the Dal tribe and investigate the situation. In the blink of an eye, over a dozen days passed. Today was the day of the grand auction that would only take place once every 100 years in Gath City. The appearance of the 8 Wastelands had already attracted many experts and large tribes to gather in Gath City. Although Gath City looked calm on the surface, there was an undercurrent surging in the dark, as if a storm was brewing. Before the auction began, a large group of people had already gathered outside the auction house in Gath City. As far as the eye could see, there was a dense crowd of people. The number of people was so large that they had already blocked the nearby streets. The buzzing sound of discussions could be heard incessantly. Among these people, some were here to watch the show, while others were here to participate in the auction. However, those who were able to arrive early didn't have much of a background. They were all people from small families or small tribes. After an hour, loud sounds of firecrackers rang out from all around the auction house. Following a loud explosion in the sky, there was a burst of colorful light, which was very beautiful. As the firecrackers rose into the air, the tightly shut doors of the auction house began to slowly open. The people outside all began to move, making their way into the auction house in an orderly manner. 30 meters above the huge castle of the auction house, a circular platform with a diameter of 100 meters slowly extended out of the castle. This platform was specially used to receive special guests with high statuses and VIP rooms. On the platform, dozens of young women dressed in flirtatious attire gracefully stood there. Each of them had a beaming smile on their faces, giving people a sense of intimacy. When the platform completely stabilized, a few groups of people immediately flew out from the crowd and landed on the platform. They were warmly received by female attendants as they entered the VIP rooms through special passageways. All the people who had the right to enter the auction house from the platform 30 meters above the castle were people of great authority in the sea race. There was no lack of first-rate clans and tribes among them. Their strength was equivalent to the hermit clans and ancient clans of the Tianyuan continent. Jianshan newbies and the patriarch of the Dal tribe flew over from afar as well. They directly landed on the platform, and a female attendant immediately walked over with a smile. She gently said, "Respected warriors, please show me your VIP room plates. I'll lead the way for you." The patriarch of the Dal tribe immediately passed his VIP room plates to the female attendant from his space ring. "Respected warriors, please come with me." The female attendant smiled. She was like 100 flowers blooming. She was extremely charming. The 3 of them did not say anything. They followed behind the female attendant and made their way in. There were quite a few people from various tribes on either side of them. They were all led into the castle by a female attendant. Just then, the Dal tribe's chief paused in his footsteps and suddenly turned his head to look behind him. His originally calm gaze suddenly flashed with a sharp light, and there was even a hint of murderous intent radiating from his body. There was no lack of saint rulers who could stand on the platform, so the change in the patriarch of the Dal tribe was immediately noticed by the people around him. Immediately, quite a few people cast curious gazes at him, but no one said anything. Even though the patriarch of the Dal tribe was not very powerful, he was still a saint ruler. No one wanted to provoke an expert like that for no reason. Gentian and newbies also stopped. Looking at the patriarch of the Dal tribe, they immediately followed his gaze. In the distance, 3 old men flew over with a few heaven saint masters. Gentian and newbies could tell with a single glance that the 3 old men were saint rulers. Warriors, they are the people of the Menghuang tribe. The three old men at the very front are the current patriarch and the two protector elders. The patriarch of the Menghuang tribe said in a deep voice. The chief of the Dal tribe said in a deep voice. He looked at the people of the Menghuang tribe with eyes filled with undisguised hatred. A gleam of light flashed through the eyes of Gentian and newbies. Their gazes toward the three old men immediately became rather cold. Ha ha ha! I never thought that the patriarch of the Dal tribe would actually participate in the auction this time. It really has surprised the three of us. The three old men of the Menghuang tribe also discovered the patriarch of the Dal tribe, so one of them immediately laughed aloud. Hee hee, didn't the patriarch of the Dal tribe use up all the wealth of the tribe to find experts? Why do you have extra crystal coins to participate in the auction this time? The old man in the middle mocked. He was the current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe. As they spoke, the three experts of the Menghuang tribe studied Gentian and newbies, who stood to the left and right of the patriarch of the Dal tribe. The patriarch of the Dal tribe's face sank. He sneered, Menghuang tribe, I'd like to see just how much longer you can be so arrogant. Once the auction is over, my Dal tribe will welcome the Menghuang tribe. The expressions of the three experts of the Menghuang tribe all changed. Their gazes immediately sharpened. The current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe immediately said with a heavy voice, Patriarch Lore, may I ask what kind of experts you've found for you to be so boastful? The two warriors beside me are both powerful 14-star warriors. Menghuang tribe, do you really think that my Dal tribe is so easy to bully? The patriarch of the Dal tribe said coldly. Hearing that Jianchen and newbies were both 14th-star Poseidon warriors, the three old men of the Menghuang tribe immediately became rather ugly. They had never thought that the Dal tribe would be able to invite experts like that. If the Dal tribe really did have the assistance of two 14th-star Poseidon warriors, it would be much more difficult for their Menghuang tribe to devour the newbies tribe. It might even end in failure. The three old men of the Menghuang tribe immediately looked at Jianchen and newbies. The patriarch clasped his hands at the two of them and said, May I ask for your names, warriors? Jianchen glanced at the three experts of the Menghuang tribe indifferently. He did not pay much attention to them. He turned to newbies and the patriarch of the Dal tribe and said, Let's go in. The auction is about to begin. You're right. The auction is about to begin. There's no need for us to waste time here with the people of the Menghuang tribe. Let's go in first. The patriarch of the Dal tribe immediately obeyed Jianchen. Afterward, the three of them were led away by a female servant. Seeing Jianchen's group leave, the three experts of the Menghuang tribe, who had been ignored, became extremely ugly. They were so gloomy that they were about to drip water. The two mysterious people that the Dal tribe has invited are very powerful. I can't see through them at all, a guardian elder of the Menghuang tribe said. Chapter 865. If such a powerful cultivator were to help the Dal tribe, it would be extremely disadvantageous for our Menghuang tribe. Since the Dal tribe was able to recruit them with crystal coins, I wonder if we can use even higher crystal coins to recruit them from the Dal tribe to our side. If we can, then the power of our Menghuang tribe will undoubtedly increase significantly, said one of the Menghuang tribe's guardian elders. If we want to recruit two 14th-star Poseidon warriors, we'll have to pay quite a hefty price. It'll cost over 10 million great quality crystal coins at the very least. But if we can take over the entire mine of the Dal tribe, it'll be worth it, the current clan leader murmured. The current patriarch muttered to himself. Then he led two guardian elders and a few other clansmen into the auction house, following behind a maidservant. This little incident on the platform did not affect the auction in the slightest. When the people of the Meng Desolate tribe and the Dal tribe disappeared from the platform, the place once again regained its tranquility. Many people from the major factions and tribes came to the platform in an orderly manner and were then led away by a servant girl with a warm expression. The scale of the Garth City auction was very large. The castle, which was 50 meters tall, was completely hollowed out and divided into 10 floors. Each floor was filled with densely packed seats, and at the very front was a high platform for displaying items and auctioning them. The VIP rooms were located at the highest point of the castle. They surrounded the entire castle and were isolated by a layer of special glass. The people inside could clearly see what was outside, but the people outside could not see what was going on inside. Within the VIP room, Jianchen and newbies reclined comfortably on the soft sofa. They seemed to be at ease, while the patriarch of the doll tribe sat to one side, observing the situation in the other rooms through the special glass that covered the VIP room. The female attendant who had led Jianchen newbies brought over many delicious pastries and various unknown fruits. She placed them on the crystal table and said, "Warriors, these are all extremely precious pastries and fruits of the sea race. Please enjoy them as you please. My name is Lan Shuiling. If you have any requests, I will do my best to satisfy you." Lan Shuiling had a bright smile on her face as her body exuded a unique charm. Her bright eyes were filled with the color of spring. Newbies reclined on the sofa with his hands behind his head. He stared at Lan Shuiling with narrowed eyes, and a wicked smile appeared on his face. He teased, "If I, the great newbies, wanted your body, would you satisfy us as well?" "Of course." Lan Shuiling smiled charmingly and began to slowly remove her clothes. Immediately, a large expanse of blue skin was revealed. Jianchen frowned when he saw this. He waved his hand at Lan Shuiling. "All right, stop removing your clothes. The three of us have some important matters to discuss. You can leave first. We'll naturally call you when we need you." "Yes, esteemed warriors." Lan Shuiling's face, newbies, newbies. "What a coquettish girl," newbies murmured as he stared in the direction Lan Shuiling had disappeared in. His eyes were clear. His eyes were bright. "Newbies, don't tell me you've taken a fancy to her." Jianchen chuckled. "Go, go, go, go. I, the great newbies, won't take a fancy to such a vulgar woman. But you're still the best. You've even taken that demoness who brings calamity to the country. Admirable, admirable." Newbies' face was filled with an evil grin. After an hour, the huge auction hall was finally filled with people. All kinds of discussions filled the entire auction hall. It was as if the buzzing of bees didn't stop. Distinguished guests. Suddenly, a loud and clear voice resounded throughout the auction hall. The people sitting on the seats finally quieted down following this voice. In the blink of an eye, the originally noisy auction hall was completely silent. Only a large number of densely packed heads could be seen. At the front of the high platform, a slightly skinny old man was standing there with a smile on his face. The voice just now came from his mouth. At the same time, he was also the host of this auction. His strength had already reached the level of a 13-star Poseidon warrior. "Distinguished guests, we warmly welcome everyone to participate in the once-in-a-100-year auction of the Lost Auction House. In this auction, our Lost Auction House will not only display more treasures and heaven and earth treasures than the previous auction, but also the last piece of the 8 Wastelands map that has attracted the attention of many large tribes." Speaking up to here, the auctioneer's voice paused for a moment before continuing. "I think many of the guests here are very clear about the arrival of the 8 Wastelands map fragment. This map fragment was left behind by the famous 8 Wastelands Great Emperor. The 8 Wastelands Great Emperor was originally a rogue cultivator in our sea region. He didn't join any forces, but with his extraordinary talent and without the guidance of a teacher, he surpassed many geniuses. He stepped on a path paved with mountains of corpses and seas of bones to reach the peak of his life. He became a great emperor whose name shook the sea region and was revered by countless people. Although the 8 Wastelands Great Emperor passed away because his time was up, the 8 Wastelands shrine that he had created was left behind. It was sealed in a void by the 8 Wastelands Great Emperor with absolute strength. The Eight Wastelands map fragment is the guide to finding the Eight Wastelands shrine and the key to opening it. The Eight Wastelands great emperor had no disciples and had always been alone. Rumor has it that when he was about to die, he left behind his legacy and everything he had learned in the Eight Wastelands shrine. Once you obtain the legacy of the Eight Wastelands great emperor, I think everyone here is very clear on what that entails. Moreover, the Eight Wastelands great emperor's legacy is in the shrine of the Eight Wastelands great emperor's legacy, as well as his treasures. I think everyone here knows better than this old man just how rich the treasures of a great emperor are. It's an enormous wealth, second only to the three supreme shrines of our sea region. Heavy breathing immediately rang out in the quiet auction hall. The legacy and wealth of a great emperor was an irresistible temptation to everyone present. Even those from the top clans found it difficult to remain calm. Jianchen and newbies who were seated in the VIP box could not help but feel their hearts skip a beat. They had already become very interested in the Eight Wastelands map fragment. As for the patriarch of the doll tribe, he was even more unbearable. The huge wealth had already tempted him to the point where his eyes were bloodshot and he was breathing heavily. However, the patriarch of the doll tribe soon calmed down and his emotions gradually returned to normal. He knew that the Eight Wastelands map fragment had no fate with him at all. The matter of the Eight Wastelands map fragment was not something he could participate in. The auctioneer's voice rang out in the auction hall once more. 7 of the 8 Wastelands map fragments have already appeared. This will be the last one. Everyone, as long as you possess this map fragment, you'll be qualified to enter the 8 Wastelands Divine Temple and obtain great opportunities. All right, I won't say any more. The 8 Wastelands map fragment will be the finale of this auction. The auction will now officially begin. The first treasure. Subsequently, one treasure after another was brought up for auction. The Garth auction house was only held once every 100 years, and the items being auctioned were undoubtedly the best of the best. Every time an item was brought up, it would cause many people to fight over it. All kinds of bids were made one after another, and it was a fierce struggle for wealth. The item being auctioned right now is a ruler armament left behind by a human expert. The starting bid is 100,000 supreme quality crystal coins. The auctioneer's voice rang through the entire auction hall. Jianchen and newbies suddenly snapped open their eyes. They stared in the direction of the stage with shining eyes. They saw a scantily clad female attendant carefully bring up a cleaver that had been hidden behind a hand. This really is a ruler armament. It's a saint armament left behind by a human 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. Jianchen was secretly shocked. Every single ruler armament on the Tianyuan continent would be treated as a family heirloom by the hermit clans. They were extremely precious. He never thought that there would actually be someone auctioning off such a precious ruler armament in the Sea Realm. As far as I know, this king armament can only be used by human experts. Could it be that the Sea Tribe can also use king armaments like human experts? Jianshan thought inside. He then looked at the patriarch of the doll tribe and asked, "Patriarch, may I ask what use this ruler armament has to us sea race?" Surprise flashed through the patriarch's eyes when he heard that. However, he still explained to Jianshan in detail. Esteemed warrior, the ruler armament of a human expert is a rare treasure to us sea race. It was left behind by a human 9th heavenly layer saint ruler when he was about to pass away. Not only does it contain his energy, but it also contains quite a lot of vital energies. If we can absorb it, our strength will drastically increase. Can ruler armaments be refined and absorbed? Jianshan was surprised. He had never thought that the sea race would have such an ability aside from his ability to refine ruler armaments with the help of the sword spirits. Of course we can. As long as we use the spirit refining formation of the sea race, we can refine ruler armaments into energy that we can absorb. However, only we sea race can use this method. Human experts won't use this method because they can directly use ruler armaments and unleash great power. The strength a ruler armament can bring them is far greater than just refining and absorbing it, said the patriarch of the Dal tribe. I see. Jianchen understood. The sea race could not use ruler armaments like humans, but they had a method to refine ruler armaments into pure energy for absorption. 150,000 great quality crystal coins. 180,000 great quality crystal coins. 200,000 great quality crystal coins. 250,000 great quality crystal coins. Chapter 866. Jianchen shook his head. Although the crystal coins of the sea race were different from the purple coins of the Tianyuan continent, he knew that the price of the ruler armament was far too low. This was all because the ruler armament was not as useful to the sea race as it was to human experts. If it were not for the fact that Jianchen wanted to keep enough crystal coins for the sea spirit water, he would have bought the ruler armament himself. Even if he did not need it, he could give it to the people around him. Obtaining a ruler armament on the Tianyuan continent was extremely difficult. Next, precious items were taken out for auction one after another. Not only were there various pills and medicines, but there were also 10,000-year-old heavenly resources. However, the final price of these heavenly resources was far lower than the purple coins of the Tianyuan continent. This was because the purple coins were only made from a rare and precious metal. They did not have any practical use other than being used as currency, unlike the crystal coins, which were completely condensed from the water-attributed spiritual energy of the world. They could be absorbed to increase one's strength, which was very powerful. The next item is a Class 8 Radiant Spirit pill. This pill comes from the distant Tianyuan continent. It's a sacred medicine for healing and is extremely precious. As long as they still have a single breath left in them, it can rapidly heal even heavily injured 15th or 16th star warriors like Poseidon. It's equivalent to granting them a second life. The starting price is 200,000 supreme grade crystal coins, 300,000 supreme grade crystal coins, 350,000 supreme grade crystal coins, 500,000 supreme grade crystal coins. Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills could only be produced on the Tianyuan continent, and they could only be created by Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters. They would rarely end up in the sea realm, so their value was evident. As a result, the price of Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills in the sea realm was much higher than on the Tianyuan continent. The pill was sold for 1,200,000 supreme grade crystal coins in the end. Jianchen squinted his eyes as he leaned against the soft couch. He thought, I never thought that Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills would be so valuable. A single one can be sold for 1,200,000 supreme grade crystal coins. I'm already a Class 7 Radiant Saint Master, so I should be able to create some Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills to exchange for crystal coins. Although creating Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills requires a sliver of Radiant Saint Force origin energy, there should be a lot of origin energy in the artifact spirit, so there's no need for me to waste my own. However, the only problem is the shell. Without an alchemist who knows how to produce the shell, I can't create Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills at all. Jianchen had already made up his mind. If the conditions were right, he would definitely create a few more Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills. As long as he had enough shells, creating Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills should be a very easy task with the artifact spirit's abilities. Even the legendary Class 9 Radiant Spirit pills would not be a problem. In the blink of an eye, the auction had already gone on for 2 whole days. During this time, the auction had been going on without any interruption. Fortunately, the people who could sit here were all quite powerful. 2 days and 2 nights without eating or sleeping did not affect them at all. The next item to be auctioned is a rare sacred item, heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. This heavenly divine water of heaven and earth can only be produced in the crisis-ridden divine realm. It only appears once in 1,000 years and is very precious. However, its powerful effects are beyond doubt. As long as a person drinks a mouthful of it, he or she will be reborn and become a cultivation genius. His or her future achievements will be limitless. In addition, this heavenly divine water of heaven and earth also has a miraculous effect on 13-star and 14-star Poseidon warriors. Not only can it greatly increase one's strength, but it can also condense and strengthen the primordial spirit. This will lay a solid foundation for the future when one steps into the 15-star Poseidon warrior. If a warrior at the peak of the 14-star consumes this heavenly divine water of heaven and earth, there's a great chance that he or she will break through the bottleneck and step into the 15-star realm. There is only one portion of heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. If there is a need for it, please be sure to cherish this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Otherwise, you will have to wait for another 1,000 years. Its starting price is 500,000 top-grade crystal coins. The appearance of the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth immediately energized Genshin. His slightly closed eyes suddenly opened, and even his half-lying body on the sofa sat up straight. This was because this heavenly divine water of heaven and earth was the Spirit Sea sacred water that he needed. It was produced in the Spirit Sea, but it had a different name in the sea race. Noticing Genshin's reaction, Newbies asked, "Is this the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth you want?" Genshin nodded. "That's right. This is extremely important to me. I have to obtain it no matter what." The patriarch of the Dal tribe glanced at Genshin, but did not say anything. He knew how precious the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth was, but he did not know whether 10 million top-grade crystal coins would be enough to purchase it. There had always been a legend among the sea race that once someone ingested the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth, they would have a very high chance of becoming a 15-star or even 16-star Poseidon warrior in the future. As a result, every time the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth appeared, it would be fought over by many large tribes. The competition for the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth had already begun. Several dozen organizations in the VIP rooms expressed their interest in the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. They all called out their bids. Very soon, the price of the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth rose from 500,000 to over 3 million. "Patriarch, whether I can obtain the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth this time will all depend on you." Genshin looked at the patriarch of the Dal tribe sternly. The patriarch of the Dal tribe showed a bitter smile. "Respected warrior, the Dal tribe will do our best to help you." Now, the patriarch of the Dal tribe had no other choice. If he wanted to protect the Dal tribe, he could only do his best to curry favor with Genshin. Genshin nodded slightly, then called out, 5 million top-grade crystal coins." Genshin increased the price by more than 1 million top-grade crystal coins, which immediately silenced the auction hall. Immediately, many eyes gathered there. 2 million top-grade crystal coins. But very soon, another bid sounded, surpassing Genshin's bid of 5 million. 5 for million top-grade crystal coins. 5 million top-grade crystal coins. 6 million top-grade crystal coins. The price was still rising, and there were still many people from large tribes who had not given up on competing for the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. 8 million top-grade crystal coins. In the VIP room, Genshin called out the price expressionlessly. The preciousness of the holy water of heaven and earth had far exceeded his expectations. Now he could not bear it anymore because he was very close to the price of 10 million top-grade crystal coins offered by the Dal tribe. He could only raise the price like crazy. On one hand, it showed that he was determined to obtain the holy water of heaven and earth, and on the other hand, he wanted some people to back off. This time, the price increased from 5 million to 8 million, which was an increase of more than 2 million top-grade crystal coins. It immediately scared some people away, and some tribes and forces immediately withdrew from competing for the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. In a VIP room across from Jianshan, the three powerhouses of the Menghuang tribe sat on a soft sofa. A guardian chief said with a deep voice, "The old chief is close to the peak of the 14-star Poseidon. The heavenly divine water of heaven and earth will be of great use to the old chief. It might even allow the old chief to break through the 14-star Poseidon level and enter the 15-star level. As a result, the Menghuang tribe must obtain the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth." That's right. Once the old chief successfully breaks through, the status of the Menghuang tribe will rise again. We must buy the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth for the old chief to bring back, another guardian elder added. The current chief of the Menghuang tribe pondered for a while and said, "The voice who called out the price of 800 crystal coins sounds familiar. It seems to be the two mysterious powerhouses that the Dal tribe invited. That's even more reason to not let them have the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth." With that, the current chief of the Menghuang tribe immediately called out a price, 5 million crystal coins. In another room, two middle-aged men in blue robes sat there with sunken faces. They were also the leaders of a large tribe and possessed great statuses. "I'm the chief of a tribe, but my son's talent is mediocre. He probably won't even be able to reach the 11th star. How will he inherit the position of chief in the future? The heavenly divine water of heaven and earth just happens to be able to solve my son's problem. As long as he has the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth, my son will immediately become a cultivation prodigy that only appears once every 1,000 years. Reaching the 13th star won't be a problem for him, and he might even reach the 15th star. I must obtain the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth." In another room, four extremely ordinary old men sat there. One of them frowned as cold light flickered in his eyes from time to time. "Whatever. Elder Ho-Tu, let's give up on the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. Our target is the map fragment of the 8 wastelands. We need to leave behind enough crystal coins to compete for the map fragment. We can't waste too many crystal coins on other things." One of the old men looked at his sunken companion and said. The sunken elder nodded and gently sighed. "All right, we can only give up on the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. It's a pity that it appeared at the same time as the map fragment of the 8 wastelands. Otherwise, I would have tried to obtain the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth no matter what. It's a rare treasure that only appears once every 1,000 years. 9 million top-grade crystal coins." In another private room, a young man in blue clothes with an evil look on his face made a bid. He had already reached the peak of the 14th star, which was equivalent to the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler on the Tianyuan continent. The final barrier firmly blocked him, making it difficult for him to break through. He did not have much time left either, so he could only break through with the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. "I only have over 100 years left. Even if I have to take out all the savings I've accumulated over the past 3,000 years, or even all the wealth I have, I must obtain the heavenly divine water of heaven and earth. It's my only hope of breaking through," the young man said with a deep voice. Heavy killing intent filled his eyes. 9,500,000 crystal coins. Jianshan called out another price. His face had become sunken as well. He was still short by 500,000 crystal coins. Chapter 867. Jianshan's expression became very ugly. He clenched his fists tightly, and there was even a strong murderous intent in his eyes. If other treasures had been won by others, he would still have time to take them back. However, The divine water of the world was not like other treasures. Jianchen was really worried that others would drink the divine water as soon as they won it, cutting off the chance for others to snatch it back. 5 million top-grade crystal coins. The young man with the evil look on his face made a bid. His expression was also very ugly. This price was close to his bottom line. 11 million top-grade crystal coins, a middle-aged man in a VIP room said through gritted teeth. Jianchen looked at the chief of the doll tribe and said, "Chief, how many more top-grade crystal coins can your tribe take out? Take the extra as a loan from me. I will definitely pay you back in double in the future." The chief of the doll tribe pondered for a moment and said bitterly, "Our doll tribe should be able to take out 5 million top-grade crystal coins after emptying all our savings. Warrior, since you need it, we will give you 5 million crystal coins as long as you help our tribe deal with the hidden danger of the Menghang tribe." When he said this, the chief of the doll tribe's heart was bleeding. These 15 million crystal coins were all the savings of the doll tribe for thousands of years. It had almost emptied the foundation of the doll tribe. Fortunately, they controlled a spirit vein and could produce a lot of crystal coins every year. As long as they could keep the tribe safe, it would not be long before the doll tribe recovered. Jianchen was not pretentious. He said, "I will remember the chief's kindness. I will definitely pay you back in double in the future." 2 million top-grade crystal coins. The voice of the Menghuang tribe came from outside again. In the private room of the Menghuang tribe, the foreheads of the 3 experts of the tribe were covered in cold sweat. According to their estimates, they could only take out 10 million top-grade crystal coins. Now, this price had far exceeded their estimates and was almost at the limit of what they could bear. Although their Menghuang tribe controlled a medium spirit vein and a small spirit vein and could produce a lot of crystal coins every year, crystal coins were consumables. Moreover, their tribe had a large population and would consume a huge amount of crystal coins every day for cultivation. Almost every year, the consumption of crystal coins was 80% of the spirit vein's production. They only had 20% of their savings, which was not much at all. 12 million top-grade crystal coins. I, the evil king, will take this divine water of the world. If there is anyone who offers a higher price, then make a bid. I, the evil king, will not compete. 12 million crystal coins was all he had. He had robbed many small clans and killed many experts of the sea race. He could not take out any more crystal coins now. 12 million crystal coins was all he had. He had painstakingly collected them after robbing many small clans and killing many experts of the sea race. He could not take out any more crystal coins now. This evil king is too abominable. He actually robbed me on my way here and snatched 100,000 top-grade crystal coins from me. The quiet auction hall was suddenly filled with a buzz of discussion. Everyone was talking about the evil king. Their tone was filled with anger and strong resentment. It was obvious that the evil king had offended many people. But because of his extraordinary strength, very few people dared to take revenge on him. The middle-aged man's face immediately changed when he heard the evil king's name. He murmured, "I never thought it would actually be the evil king. The evil king's strength has already reached the peak of the 14th star. He's only a step away from the 15th star, and he doesn't have much time left. If I take the divine water of the world, the evil king will definitely do everything he can to take it from me. Whatever, I'm not competing for it." The faces of the 2 protector elders and the current patriarch became rather ugly in the Menghuang clan's private room. "Sai, let's just give up. The evil king's strength is extraordinary. He stood at the peak for several hundred years already, far surpassing the previous patriarch. Even if the 3 of us and the previous patriarch work together, we'll probably only be able to fight to a draw with the evil king. If we continue to compete, we'll definitely offend the evil king. When that happens, the evil king will probably kill his way into our tribe and bring a great disaster to our tribe. One of the protector elders sighed. Whatever, let's not compete. The previous patriarch has the divine water of the world and might become a 15th star Poseidon warrior in the next century. But once the divine water ends up in our hands, we'll probably be killed by the evil king before we can even return, the current patriarch of the Meng Huang clan said. He immediately gave up on competing for a treasure like the divine water of the world. The evil king was all alone. He had nothing to worry about, and he was about to die. He had nothing to worry about, so he could do anything. Let alone a tribe like theirs, the evil king would even dare to attack a peak tribe with a powerful 15-star warrior. The evil king. In Genshin's room, the patriarch of the Dal tribe's face became extremely ugly. His eyes were filled with great fear. The evil king's reputation was like thunder to him. He was a vicious person who was 100 times more terrifying than the Meng Huang clan. I never thought that hope would be determined to obtain the divine water of the world as well. Warriors, let's not compete. We can't offend the evil king because of this. The patriarch of the Dal tribe pleaded with Genshin and the evil king. Genshin glanced at the patriarch of the Dal tribe before slowly closing his eyes. He leaned back against the comfortable sofa and said nonchalantly, "Why shouldn't I compete? I have to obtain the divine water of the world. Let alone a 14th star Heisen warrior. I'll even fight for a 15th star Poseidon warrior." But this evil king, the patriarch of the Dal tribe, was worried. He was extremely fearful of the evil king. What's there to be afraid of? Is this shitty evil king really that powerful? Why can't I, the great newbies, sense anything? If this shitty hope really does come looking for trouble with us, I, the great newbies, will definitely make it so that he won't be able to return alive, Newbie sneered. Not only would golden-striped silver snakes become much more powerful after absorbing the essence of their kin, but they would also evolve into an even more powerful existence. On the other hand, newbies had not evolved after absorbing the essence of the Class 8 magical beast, but he had benefited greatly as well. His body strength had greatly increased. Even if he encountered an ancient beast of the same level, he was confident that he could emerge victorious. 12 million going once. The auctioneer's voice rang through the entire auction house. With the evil king's reputation, very few people are bold enough to offend him. Looks like the divine water of the world is destined to be the evil king's. I just hope the evil king doesn't break through successfully, or there'll be no hope for revenge. The auction house buzzed with discussion. Everyone believed that no one dared to bid anymore. 12 million going twice. 12 million, I'll bid 12. 1 million. At this moment, an extremely indifferent voice rang out from a VIP room. This bid instantly silenced the entire auction hall. At this moment, everyone's gazes turned towards the room where the voice came from. It was as if they wanted to see who dared to go against the famous evil king. In another room, the evil-looking evil king smashed the crystal table before him to pieces with a single punch. His face was filled with malice as he icily said, All right. I'd like to see just who dares to oppose me." The 3 experts from the Meng Huang tribe were surprised by Genshin's bid as well. They stared in the direction of Genshin's room in surprise. They had never thought that the 2 experts the Dal tribe had invited would actually dare to oppose the evil king. All right. Man proposes, but the heavens disposes. I never thought that they'd actually offend the evil king. This is great. We don't even need to do anything. The Dal tribe is probably going to be destroyed. A guardian elder from the Meng Huang tribe laughed aloud. Although the 2 experts that the Dal tribe has invited are both 14-star warriors, the difference between 14-star warriors is extremely great. Evil King's strength has already reached the peak of the 14th star. He's only a step away from reaching 15th star. The 2 experts that the Dal tribe has invited are definitely no match for Evil King, the current chief of the Meng Huang tribe said. He smiled happily. The 2 of them clashed with the renowned heretic king. This was obviously something that the Menghuang tribe was extremely happy to see. Not only did the sudden bid surprise many people in the auction house, but even the auctioneer was stunned. Perhaps he had never thought that someone would actually offend the powerful evil king for the divine water of the world. After all, while the divine water of the world was precious, it was not absolute. Some would appear in the divine sea almost every 1,000 years, but it was not easy to obtain. Aside from possessing great strength, one also needed great fortune. 12. 1 million going once. Is there anyone willing to bid higher? The auctioneer called out. 12. 1 million going twice. 12. 1 million going thrice. Sold. I now announce that the rare divine water of the world has been won by the guest in VIP room 58. Jianqin could not help but smile faintly. He felt very happy that he had collected another material for the azulite swords. He felt that this trip had been worth it. If it were not for the fact that he had come to Garth City, he probably would not have been able to come across the divine water of the world. The auction continued, and many extremely precious treasures appeared. After another day, it was finally time for the final item of the auction. It was a fragment of the 8 wastelands. Many of the first-rate tribes and clans present had come for the fragment of the 8 wastelands. The auction for the fragment of the 8 wastelands was naturally even more intense. In less than half an hour, the price had risen from 5 million to over 50 million. There were still many clans competing for it, so the price continued to rise. Jianqin did not participate in the bidding for the fragment of the 8 wastelands. Instead, he sat to the side and watched. At this moment, Jianqin's eyes narrowed. He immediately became rather stern. He could sense many powerful people outside the auction house, including many Holy Emperor experts. Jianqin, it looks like obtaining the fragment of the 8 wastelands will not be easy. I can sense the presence of Holy Emperor experts, and there are quite a few of them, Newbies said sternly. Chapter 868. There's no hurry. The 8 wastelands is related to the legacy of a Holy Emperor, so it'll definitely attract the attention of many large organizations. The arrival of some Holy Emperor experts is completely within my expectations. Right now, all we need to do is observe the situation and find an opportunity to reap the benefits. Since the mysterious woman has asked us to compete for the 8 wastelands, let's do our best, Jianqin replied secretly. He was calm and composed. Jianqin, we don't even know the identity of the mysterious woman. Are we supposed to trust her that much? What if she's plotting something by asking us to compete for the 8 wastelands? Newbies was rather worried. With that, Jianqin replied after a moment of thought. Although we don't know the identity of the woman, she's extremely powerful. That's something that cannot be doubted. At the same time, she knows everything about me on the Tianyuan continent, including the matters between me and the Protector clans, as well as my grievances on the Beast God continent. If she wants to harm us, all she needs to do is announce our identities, but she hasn't done that. And from our conversation last time, she's not helping us for no reason. Fair enough. The mysterious woman said that if she helps you now, you'll have to help her in the future. She probably won't harm us. Newbies found it reasonable as well, so he nodded in agreement. The two of them communicated secretly, so it was impossible for their voices to leak out. As a result, the patriarch of the Dal tribe had no idea what the two of them were talking about. 85 million great quality crystal coins, 86 million great quality crystal coins. The bidding didn't stop. The competition for the 8 desolation map fragment was still going on fiercely. More than a dozen big forces had participated in the competition for the map fragment. After 5 whole minutes, the price of the 8 wastelands had reached 100 million great quality crystal coins. Even a few large tribes could not afford such a high price, so they all withdrew from the auction. However, there were still quite a few wealthy organizations that insisted on bidding for the 8 wastelands, so the price continued to climb as time went on. The competition for the 8 wastelands only ended after 4 hours. It was purchased by a peak clan from the Heavens Spirit Hall, one of the 3 divine halls of the Sea Realm, for an astronomical price of 380 million. With the purchase of the 8 wastelands, the Centennial Auction in Gas City officially came to an end. Afterward, Jian Chen and newbies led the patriarch of the Dal tribe to the backstage of the auction to deal with the procedures of handing over the divine water of the world. The divine water of the world was what the Sea clan called it. Its true name was the sacred water of the Spirit Sea. Jian Chen accepted the sacred water of the Spirit Sea in a jade bottle with surging emotions. He carefully placed it into his space ring before leaving with the other 2. As soon as they left the place where the items were handed over, a young man in blue robes with a hint of evilness on his face blocked Jian Chen's path. The young man's gaze was cold, and a heavy killing intent was hidden in the depths of his eyes. Diablo! The patriarch of the Dal tribe's face immediately changed when he saw the young man. He could not help but cry out. Jian Chen and newbies looked at the young man who was about the same age as them with interest. They smiled gently. "You Diablo? Cut the bullshit. Give me the divine water of the world, and I'll spare your lives." Diablo coldly stared at Jian Chen. His voice was extremely frigid, without any emotion at all. Diablo and newbies were both at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler, so how could newbies tolerate someone at the same level as him boasting with his pride? He immediately became furious and took a step forward. A powerful presence immediately radiated from him, firmly pressing down on Diablo. He coldly said, "What dogs hit Diablo? You don't have the right to be arrogant before the great newbies. Piss off, or don't blame me for being rude to you." Newbies controlled his presence extremely well. He only targeted Diablo with his presence at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. It did not spread out and affect the auction house at all. A gleam of light immediately flashed through Diablo's eyes under the pressure of Newbie's presence. He glared at Newbies and finally became slightly stern. Although they had not engaged in an open battle, he could sense Newbie's strength. He was definitely an expert who was no weaker than him. "Who are you?" Diablo growled. At that moment, he seemed to have completely ignored the existence of Jian Chen and the patriarch of the Dal tribe. All he could see was newbies. And the great newbies. "Didn't you hear what I just said?" Newbies growled. A vicious light shone from his eyes. The berserk and bloodthirsty nature of his magical beast bloodline had already been unleashed involuntarily. "Guests, fighting is forbidden in the auction house. If you have any grievances, please settle them outside the city." At this moment, an old voice suddenly rang out. An extraordinary old man strode over from afar. With a gentle wave of his hand, an invisible force immediately surged over, suppressing Newbie's presence. A gleam of light flashed through Jian Chen's eyes. The old man had suppressed Newbie's presence so easily, so he was definitely a supreme expert who had reached the level of Holy Emperor. He was at the 5th heavenly layer at the very least, no weaker than by Yifei and Ling Yuanzi. The sea race really is filled with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. I never thought that such an expert would be hidden in a tiny auction house. The sea race really is powerful. Not only do they have more Holy Emperor than the Tian Yuan continent, but even the Holy Emperor has far more peak saint rulers than the Tian Yuan continent, Jian Chen thought. He gained a new understanding of the sea race's strength. Newbies also sensed the old man's strength, and a rare deep fear appeared on his face. He immediately erased his presence and did not do anything excessive. When he saw the old man, the usually fearless Xia Wang's expression finally changed. His eyes were filled with shock and fear as he looked at the old man. Soon after, he respectfully cupped his hands towards the old man and said, "Greetings to Elder Jia." Senior Lan calmly studied the 3 of them. He smiled warmly and said, "No matter who you are, since you've come to my auction house, you're our guests." "Guests? I don't care about your grievances, nor do I care about them. However, please do not break the rules of the city. If you want to settle your grievances, please do it outside the city. Do not break the order of the city." "Yes, Senior Jia. I will never break the rules of Garth City." Diablo immediately behaved like an obedient child. He felt respect and fear for the old man from the bottom of his heart. Senior Jia said to Diablo, "You've damaged a table in the auction house. Go pay the compensation yourself." Yes, Diablo did not dare to disobey. He stared at Nubes and Gentian and said in a deep voice, "I will find you again." With that, Diablo left to pay the compensation. Senior Lan did not pay any attention to Gentian and the others. He walked past them and disappeared around the corner. Gas City, Gas Auction House, and Senior Jia. Is there a connection between these three? Could that old man be the Gas Auction House's master? Looking at the old man's back, Gentian murmured to himself. In a sealed, secret room in the auction house, Senior Jia was sitting together with a few other old men to discuss. Gade, escorting the 8 Wastelands map will be very dangerous. Many masters will come to steal it. We hope you can help us, one of the old men said. Old Senior Jia pondered for a moment before nodding sternly. 3,000 years ago, a great elder of your Hao clan saved my life. I never had the chance to repay him. Now that the great elder has passed away, I won't be able to see him again in this life. Since your Hao clan needs me this time, I'll help you this time. Treat it as me repaying the great elder of your Hao clan for saving my life. Chapter 869. After leaving the auction house, Jianchen and Nubes directly made their way out of the city. Along the way, Jianchen discovered that there were many experts hidden in the surroundings. Some of them had come to participate in the auction, while others had other intentions. At this moment, a tremendous presence appeared in the distance. Over a dozen people of various ages flew out of the auction house and made their way out of the city. That's the famed Hao Jia of the Heavens Spirit Hall. Hao Jia is one of the strongest, even with the entire sea realm in perspective. They're Hao Jia's people. It's said that Hao Jia bought the 8 Wastelands for an extremely high price. Hao Jia has actually brought so many experts. They must have left with the 8 Wastelands. Isn't that the city lord of Gas City, Gade? Why is he with Hao Jia's people? Not only is Gade the city lord of Gas City, but he's also the owner of the auction house behind the scenes. He's the former patriarch of the number 1 clan in the city, the Gas clan. Is he with Hao Jia's people to assist Hao Jia in escorting the 8 Wastelands? Gade's strength has already reached the 16th star. With him escorting them, I don't think anyone would be bold enough to try anything with the 8 Wastelands. That's not necessarily the case. I've heard that quite a few experts from the 3 territories of the sea race have come. There's no lack of 16th star Poseidon warriors among them. Discussions rang out on the streets. A few experts looked at the group of people flying through the sky and discussed amongst themselves. Gade was a renowned peak expert in the region. His appearance had dispelled many people's thoughts of trying to steal the 8 Wastelands. Gade and Hao Jia's group moved very quickly. They shot through the sky like meteors, disappearing into the distance in the blink of an eye. They left Gas City very soon. Since the sea realm was enveloped by a powerful protective barrier, it was equivalent to another world. Holy Emperor experts were unable to rip open space there, so Hao Jia's group could only fly back to their clan. Soon after Hao Jia's group left, many figures flickered through the city of gas. Many experts hidden in the surroundings chased after Hao Jia's group. Basically, all of them were saint rulers, and there were even a few Holy Emperor-level experts. Jianchen stood where he was and watched the people leave. The light in his eyes flickered. Warriors, you've already gotten what you want. Do you think? The patriarch of the Dal tribe wanted to say something, but he hesitated. He was slightly worried. He had already bet all the wealth of his tribe on Jianchen, so he really was afraid that the two of them would suddenly go back on their word. Jianchen glanced behind casually and faintly sneered. Patriarch, let's leave Gas City first. Jianchen, about the 8 Wastelands. Nubes asked through a communication technique. There's no rush. Let them fight for a while. Don't worry, I've got everything under control. Jianchen replied through a communication technique. His voice was filled with great confidence. He had already expanded the senses of his soul as much as he could, covering a radius of 5,000 kilometers. He was able to observe their movements clearly. I'm relieved to hear that, Nubes replied. Jianchen Nubes and the patriarch of the Dal tribe left Gas City together and flew off into the distance. Just when they were 50 kilometers away from Gas City, a tremendous presence suddenly appeared. Behind Jianchen's group of 3, Diablo, who was dressed in blue robes, chased after them coldly. His body had become one with space, and he used spatial force to travel. He moved as fast as lightning. It's Diablo. He's actually caught up. The patriarch of the Dal tribe's face changed slightly. He glanced at Jianchen and Nubes, who were standing beside him calmly. He could not help but relax. Jianchen and Nubes stopped moving. They hovered in the air as they stared at Diablo's arrival. A few seconds later, Diablo stopped 50 meters away from Jianchen's group of 3. He glared at Nubes as anger and killing intent burned in his eyes. Nubes crossed his arms and stared at Diablo in a mocking manner. He sneered. What? Do you still want to fight with the great Nubes? Give me the divine water of the world, and I'll leave immediately. Otherwise, I swear that I'll never let you go, Diablo said emotionlessly. Xia Wang said expressionlessly. The divine water of heaven and earth was his only hope. In order to get the divine water of heaven and earth back, he didn't care even if he had to die, because he didn't have much time left. Nubes' face turned cold. He said, Before the great Nubes, you don't have the right to say that to me, unless you're a 15th star Poseidon warrior. Since you're not going to let us go, I'll beat you until you're looking for your teeth on the ground. With that, Nubes arrived before Diablo in a flash. He directly threw a punch at Diablo with an ear-piercing sound. Wherever the punch passed, the surrounding space would tremble violently. The space in the Sea Race's world was much tougher than the outside world. Nubes' punch would have easily ripped through space outside, but it could only make space tremble here. Although Diablo was conceited, he knew that Nubes was no weaker than him. He immediately threw a punch as hard as he could, colliding violently with Nubes' fist in the air. Bang! With a muffled sound, a strong burst of energy exploded, wreaking havoc in all directions. The energy shockwaves from the two men's fists spread to the ground below, immediately causing thick cracks to appear on the ground. Nubes remained hovering there steadily after the strike. He did not move at all. As for Evil King, he could not help but retreat 32 feet before he could stabilize himself. It was already clear who was stronger between the two of them. Nubes was an ancient beast, so his battle prowess was extremely great. Coupled with the fact that he had absorbed the essence of a Class 8 magical beast, he was like a tiger that had grown wings. His current battle prowess was no weaker than regular Holy Emperor experts. Even if he encountered a first heavenly layer Holy Emperor, he would not necessarily be able to defeat them. There were very few 9th heavenly layer Saint Rulers who could match him. Diablo swung his slightly numb right arm and said with a deep voice, You really are very strong, but you're still only at the peak of the 14th star. You're at the same level as me. It's very difficult to tell who will live until the very end. Now I'll show you my true strength. An even more tremendous presence radiated from Diablo before charging toward Nubes with an unstoppable force. He began to engage in a great battle with Nubes. 3 more people flew over from the direction of Gas City. In the end, they stopped a few kilometers away and watched from afar. The 3 of them were the current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe and the 2 other protector elders. They did not interfere with the grievances between Jianchen's group and Diablo. The 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe all revealed extremely ugly expressions as they watched Nubes fight Diablo. They had never thought that Nubes would be so powerful, where he could actually fight the renowned Diablo to a standstill and even gain the upper hand. Jianqin glanced at the three experts from the Menghuang tribe and did not pay too much attention to them. The three of them were only at the third and fourth heavenly layer of Saint Ruler, so they were nothing in his eyes. However, the patriarch of the Dal tribe was unable to remain as calm as Jianqin. He stared at the three experts cautiously and said, "Esteemed warriors, be careful of their sudden attacks." "Don't worry, I'm here. They won't be able to do anything," Jianqin said confidently. The three experts from the Menghuang tribe stared closely at the two people in battle. The light in their eyes flickered. One of the guardian elders said telepathically, "Chief, this evil king has already made an enemy of the experts invited by the chief of the Dal tribe. If we take this opportunity to help the evil king, we might be able to temporarily draw him to our side and then deal with the Dal tribe together with him." "That makes sense. Patriarch, why don't we go assist Diablo right now? Diablo wants the divine water of the world, while we want the spirit vein of the Dal tribe. I think Diablo will be extremely willing to work with us," another protector elder added. The patriarch of the Menghuang tribe hesitated before gently shaking his head. "Let's wait first. We don't know the strength of the other person right now. We might not be his opponent even if we work together. At the same time, there's also the patriarch of the Dal tribe who's already at the 13th star. We might not be able to gain anything from clashing with them rashly." Suddenly, over a dozen people flew over from the direction of Garth City. They were in horrible shape, and their faces were pale. Blood dripped from the corner of their mouths. They were already heavily injured. Behind them, two old men fought as they retreated in the air. They were both Saint Rulers, and every time they clashed, they would erupt with powerful ripples of energy. "Elder, leave quickly. Don't worry about us." Among the dozen or so fleeing people in front, a rather beautiful woman in a blue robe opened her mouth and shouted loudly. Her mournful voice was full of pleading. Jianqin's eyes immediately narrowed when he heard the woman's voice from afar. He suddenly turned his head to look at the woman, and a sliver of surprise appeared in his eyes. "Kaya!" "I'll hold him off. You guys hurry up and leave." "Leave quickly," the old man with short blue hair growled. He was nowhere near as strong as his opponent, so he had already become heavily injured after just clashing for a short while. "Ha ha ha! None of you from the Kaler tribe can escape today. 100 years ago, that old man of your tribe almost killed me. Today, I, old man, will use the blood of that old man's clansmen to take revenge for what happened back then." The black-robed old man in the back laughed aloud. His face was filled with cruelty as he struck the chest of the elder with a palm strike filled with tremendous energy. Spurt! The elder vomited a mouthful of blood. His face became sheet white in a single moment, devoid of any color. He could no longer maintain his levitation and fell toward the ground. "Ha ha ha! I'll deal with this old one first, and then I'll kill you young ones." The black-robed old man murderously chased after the elder who had fallen to the ground. He mercilessly swung his palm toward the elder's head with powerful ripples of energy. Swish! Chapter 870. The black-robed old man immediately became surprised when he sensed the power of the sword chi. His instincts told him that he would definitely become heavily injured if he was struck by the sword chi. The black-robed old man no longer cared about killing the elder of the Kaler tribe. He forcefully pulled back his hand that was originally aimed at the elder and threw a punch at the sword chi in the distance as hard as he could. The black-robed old man threw a fist that was a meter wide and completely condensed from energy. It collided with the sword chi with violent ripples of energy. Boom! The huge fist collided with the sword chi and immediately erupted with a great boom. Violent ripples of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, blowing Kaya and the guards away. However, the power of the sword chi had completely exceeded the black-robed old man's expectations. The sword chi did not disperse. Instead, it passed through the violent energy and shot toward the black-robed old man. However, the sword chi had become much weaker after being weakened by the previous attack. The black-robed old man's strength had reached the 14th star, which was equivalent to the 6th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. He suddenly became extremely stern when he saw the sword Qi shoot toward him without slowing down at all. He bellowed out, and surging energy surged out. He sent another full-powered strike toward the sword Qi. Following a violent explosion, the sword Qi was finally dispersed when it was only 30 meters away from the black-robed elder. The powerful force affected the black-robed elder, causing his body to tremble violently. The black-robed old man was shocked. He glared in the direction where the sword Qi had come from, wanting to see just who possessed such great strength. Even if the person was not at the peak of the 14th star, they were not far from it. A young man with long black hair and a white robe was hovering in the sky in the distance, holding a long sword that emitted a black light. The black-robed old man's eyes suddenly narrowed when he saw the young man. He even had the misconception that the young man was not a person, but a sword that radiated with surging sword Qi, a sword that stood between the heavens and the earth. "Warrior, who are you? What grievances do we have? Why have you suddenly attacked me?" The black-robed old man growled. His complexion was very ugly. He glanced at Xia Wang and newbies who were engaged in an intense battle. He could tell with a single glance that the two of them were far more powerful than him. They had probably truly reached the peak of the 14th star. Jianqin glanced at the black-robed old man coldly before flying toward Kea. He said, "Miss Kea, are you fine?" Kea looked at Jianqin with a pale face. When she recognized Jianqin, surprise immediately filled her eyes. "Warrior, it's actually you." Jianqin smiled. "Miss Kea, looks like you've run into some trouble. Fortunately, you ran into me, or you would have been in danger." At this moment, the 12 guards beside Kea also recognized Jianqin. When they thought about how Jianqin had repelled the powerful black-robed old man all by himself, all of them immediately became surprised. They had never thought that the poor person who did not even have to pay the entrance fee half a month ago would actually be such a terrifying expert. The 12 guards were extremely shocked. "Thank you for saving me, warrior. Kea will definitely repay you in the future," Kea said gratefully. Her voice was rather weak. She was already heavily injured. She was not injured by the black-robed old man, but by the shockwaves of energy from the battle between the two saint rulers. "You're too polite, Miss Kea. Half a month ago, I was indebted to Miss Kea, so just treat this as me repaying your kindness." Jianqin faintly smiled. The black-robed old man's heart immediately sank when he saw Jianqin walking with the people of the Kaler tribe and how they seemed to have a very special relationship. He understood that it would be impossible for him to take revenge today if the Kaler tribe obtained the assistance of such an expert. The old man from the Kaler tribe who had been injured by the black-robed old man rejoiced. He endured his injuries and struggled to his feet. He called out, "Warrior, please help our Kaler tribe kill this person. Our Kaler tribe will definitely reward you handsomely." The black-robed old man no longer cared about revenge when he heard that. He already considered retreating, but he still asked, "May I ask what your relationship is with the Kaler tribe?" Jianqin ignored the black-robed old man. He said to Kea, "Miss Kea, since he's your enemy, I'll repay your kindness with his head." With that, Jianqin charged toward the black-robed old man with the dragon-slaying sword. Undisguised killing intent filled his eyes. The black-robed old man's expression drastically changed. Just when he was about to retreat, 3 more powerful presences suddenly appeared. The 3 experts of the Menghuang clan moved at the same time, directly charging toward Jianqin. "Warrior, it'll be difficult for you to escape today. Why don't the 3 of us work together to kill this person?" The current patriarch of the Menghuang clan called out to the black-robed old man. A gleam of light flashed through the black-robed old man's eyes when he heard that. His thoughts of retreating immediately vanished, and a cruel smile appeared on his face once again. He said, "That's fine. Since you don't plan on sparing me, I can only work with the three of us to deal with you. Since you dare to ruin my plans, Heybatian, will make you die here today." "Warrior, be careful." Kaya's expression immediately changed when she saw the sudden appearance of 3 more people opposing Jianshin. She could not help but cry out as she began to worry for Jianshin. Although she had not known Jianshin for long, he was still someone on her side. Whether or not she and her elders could leave this place alive all depended on Jianshin. Jianshin's face was filled with disdain. He mocked, "Then let's see just who will die here today. People of the Menghuang clan, I originally wanted to let you live a few more days. But since you want to die, don't blame me for what happens next." How arrogant! The 3 experts of the Menghuang clan were enraged. They all pulled out their weapons and began to fight Jianshin. "You are just a grain of rice, yet you dare to compete with the moon?" The dragon-slaying sword in Jianshin's hand turned into a blur as it stabbed out with lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, he had stabbed out 3 times, knocking away the weapons of the 3 experts. The great force from the collision of the weapons made their arms go numb. The 3 experts of the Menghuang clan were shocked. Although they knew that Jianshin was definitely extremely powerful, they thought that they would be able to put up a fight even against a 14th star warrior if they worked together. However, they had never thought that Jianshin would be so powerful. In just a single exchange, the 3 of them were at a complete disadvantage. In particular, the great force that came from the dragon-slaying sword made them feel slightly irresistible. Asterisk swish, swish. At this moment, another 3 sword shadows suddenly appeared. The King Armament Dragon Slayer sword left behind a series of afterimages as it stabbed towards the 3 experts from the Meng Baron tribe. This time, it directly pierced through their chests, giving them no time to react. The second layer of the chaotic body was equivalent to a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler. With a ruler armament, his battle prowess was equivalent to a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. The 3 experts of the Menghuang clan were all below the 5th heavenly layer of saint ruler, so they were unable to fight back against Jianshin at all. The 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe all grunted. They immediately retreated as shock filled their faces. They no longer dared to continue fighting Jianshin. At the same time, they fled into the distance, quickly disappearing into the distance. "I originally wanted to kill the 3 of you, but I changed my mind. You can go. I'll let you live for a few more days." Jianshin did not stop them from leaving. He had shown the people of the Menghuang clan how powerful he was this time. He believed that they would not dare to attack the Dal clan any time soon, which just happened to give him precious time to fight for the map fragment of the 8 wastelands. The black-robed old man immediately became frightened out of his wits when he saw Jianshin kill the 3 experts of the Menghuang clan in a single move. He hurriedly braked in the air and no longer had the courage to fight. He immediately turned around and flew into the distance in an attempt to flee. "You better stay behind." "I'll let them go, but I won't let you go," Jianshin said indifferently, but his voice clearly reached the black-robed old man's ears. It made his heart tremble, and he fled even faster. Jianshin did not give the black-robed old man the opportunity to use spatial force to escape. He used the illusory flash and appeared before the black-robed old man like a ghost. With a jolt of his arm, the dragon-slaying sword in his hand turned into countless blurs that enveloped the black-robed old man. The blurs overlapped, blotting out the sun and sealing off all of the old man's paths of retreat. "Arg!" The black-robed old man's miserable cries rang out from the sword silhouettes that blotted out the sky. When the sword silhouettes dispersed, the black-robed old man's appearance had undergone an earth-shattering change in just a few breaths of time. He was covered in blood, and his body was covered in countless wounds. He was in an extremely miserable state. "Spare me, warrior. Spare me. I will never provoke the people of the Kaler tribe again. Please spare my life." The black-robed old man had truly experienced Jianshan's terror. He did not believe that he could escape today, so he immediately began to beg for mercy. Jianshan's eyes were cold. He did not waver at all. The years of slaughter had gradually allowed him to develop a heart that treated his enemies coldly and emotionlessly. That was the only way he had the right to survive in this world. Being merciful to his enemies was just asking for death. Killing intent flashed through Jianshan's eyes. He swung his dragon-slaying sword and beheaded the old man. Chapter 871. Jianshan removed the old man's ring before bringing his head to Keia's side. He faintly smiled. "Miss Keia, I've already taken this person's head for you. Just treat it as repayment for the 100 crystal coins you lent me." Keia and the 12 guards behind him all stared at Jianshan with their mouths agape. Their hearts churned as they struggled to remain calm. A powerful 14th star Poseidon warrior had been slain so easily by Jianshan, and he had even taken his head. Keia and the others were in disbelief, unable to return to their senses for quite some time. They were truly unable to accept what had just happened. Is this really the expert who didn't even have to pay the entrance fee back then? At that moment, the same thought appeared in the minds of Keia and the 12 guards. None of them dared to connect the Jianshan who could so easily slay a 14th star Poseidon warrior with that person back then. The elder of the Kaler tribe was extremely shocked when he saw the headless body. The black-robed old man had already reached the level of a 14th star Poseidon warrior. Although he had not reached the peak, he was still extremely powerful. Yet Jianshan had actually slain him so easily. The elder was extremely shocked by his strength. Peak 14th star. That person has definitely reached the peak of the 14th star. He might even be a 15th star expert, thought the elder. Soon after, his heart was ravished with joy. If the Kaler tribe could rope in such a powerful expert, it would be a joyous occasion for their tribe. The elder wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth and dragged his heavily injured body before Jianshan. He gratefully said, "Thank you for your assistance, warrior. Our tribe will never forget your great kindness. Please come to our tribe as a guest so that we can properly thank you. It's nothing worth mentioning. Last time, Miss Keia even helped us once, so it's only natural for me to help Miss Keia this time. Elder, I still have matters to attend to, so I can't go to your tribe." Jianshan declined politely. He spoke extremely politely. The elder was troubled. Clearly, he wanted to invite Jianshan to his tribe as a guest very much, but due to Jianshan's strength, he was afraid of angering Jianshan. That would not be worth it. "Silly girl, what are you standing around for? Why don't you hurry up and invite this warrior to our tribe as a guest?" A thought flashed through the elder's head, and he immediately sent a message to Keia. Keia hesitated. Her relationship with Jianshan was extremely ordinary, and she practiced innate spirit opening. She could clearly sense that Jianshan only treated her as an extremely ordinary passerby and had no other intentions. He had only helped her this time to repay her kindness of giving him 100 crystal coins. He had no other intentions. "Farewell, Miss Keia!" Jianshan clasped his hands at Keia before turning around and leaving. The elder beside her panicked when he saw how Keia did not follow his suggestion to keep Jianshan. He urged her again, "Silly girl, don't just stand there. Hurry up and stop this warrior." The elder's tone was filled with urgency. He would not let go of such a good opportunity to rope in such a strong person. Keia gently shook her head. She did not do anything. She knew that even if she tried to keep him, it would be pointless. Sigh. The elder of the Kaler tribe sighed in disappointment. His face was filled with regret and anger. Newbies and the evil king fought as they retreated. They had already moved several dozen kilometers away. Jianshan stared at the two of them, who were still engaged in an intense battle several dozen kilometers away. He said, "Newbies, don't waste too much time here." "Ha ha ha, I know. Kid, your great-grandpa Newbies won't play with you anymore. Newbie's laughter rang out from afar. He immediately struck out with his full strength, landing a few heavy blows on the evil king's body and sending him flying while vomiting blood. "Kid, you better go back and come find me when you break through to the 15th star. Otherwise, you won't be the great Newbie's opponent." Newbie's arrogant voice shook up the surrounding space and spread into the distance. He no longer paid any attention to the injured evil king and flew toward Jianshin. "I didn't waste much time, did I?" Newbies arrived before Jianshin and gently smiled. He did not feel pressured at all in his battle against the evil king. He did not use his full strength at all. As a golden-striped silver snake of ancient times, Newbie's most powerful aspect was not his battle prowess. Instead, it was his poison that was renowned across the Tianyuan continent. "They've almost escaped my range of observation. We can't waste any more time," Jianshin said before arriving before the patriarch of the Dal tribe with Newbies. He said, "Patriarch, let's go." "Ah, what? Oh, why, yes." The patriarch of the Dal tribe roused back to his senses and nodded subconsciously. His face was filled with extreme shock and disbelief. After the battle, he basically understood the strength of Newbies and Jianshin. Newbies had fought against the renowned evil king alone and had easily heavily injured him without being injured at all. On the other hand, Jianshin had fought against 4 saint rulers all by himself. A 14th star Poseidon warrior had been obliterated in just a few clashes, while the other 3 13th star experts had fled with heavy injuries. The patriarch of the Dal tribe felt his blood boil when he saw this. With such experts supporting him, what did he have to fear for a mere Menghuang tribe? Jianshan, Hongli, and Newbies left while Kaya's group remained where they were. They stared blankly in the direction that Jianshin had disappeared in. "There's actually 2 of them. Who's the other person? Even the renowned evil king isn't his opponent. Is he the 15th star Poseidon warrior?" The elder of the Kaler tribe murmured. He felt even more pity inside. If he could rope in the 2 experts, the strength of his tribe would increase drastically. Jianshin, Hongli, and Newbies stopped after traveling several hundred kilometers. He then turned to the patriarch of the Dal tribe and said, "Patriarch, the 2 of us have important matters to attend to, so we'll be leaving for a while. We'll come back once we're done with our matters. How about we help you deal with the Menghuang tribe?" After a moment of thought, the patriarch replied, "The 3 experts of the Menghuang tribe have already been heavily injured. They probably won't be able to deal with our Dal tribe in a short amount of time. All right then, warriors, go deal with your matters first. I'll wait for your return." The patriarch seemed like a brutish man on the surface, but he was not stupid at all. Instead, he had sharp mind. He could tell with a single glance that Jianshin and Newbies wanted the fragment of the 8 wastelands. After bidding farewell to the patriarch, Jianshin and Newbies did not hesitate at all. They shot off into the distance with lightning-like speed as a blur, vanishing in the blink of an eye. Several thousand kilometers away, Hao Jia was escorting the fragment of the 8 wastelands to the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall with Gade, a 16th star expert. As the Holy Emperor was unable to rip open space in the territory of the sea race, they could only fly. At this moment, a strange cry rang out in the surroundings. "Keek keek, you better leave the last fragment of the 8 wastelands behind. I, Yin Feng, will be taking it." With that, a burly, middle-aged man appeared out of nowhere. He just happened to block the path of Hao Jia's group. At the same time, the surrounding space froze, as if it had been frozen into a tough block of ice in a single moment. It trapped many of Hao Jia's experts, preventing them from moving at all. "Yao Jun Yin Feng." The expressions of many of Hao Jia's experts suddenly changed. Their gazes towards Yao Jun Yin Feng were filled with deep fear and dread. Gade stepped out from the crowd and sneered at Yao Jun Yin Feng. "Yin Feng, you've only been active in the Poseidon Hall. Why have you come to the territory of our Serpent God Hall for no reason? At the same time, the Divine Hall of the 8 Wastelands is enveloped by a powerful formation. Once someone reaches the 15th star, they won't be able to enter. You're all alone. So what use do you have for the fragment of the map? It's not like you can enter." Gade's body trembled slightly as he said that. The space in the surroundings that had frozen due to Yin Feng's appearance immediately shattered and returned to normal. Yao, Jun, Yin Feng chuckled aloud, "That's right. I really can't enter the divine hall of the 8 wastelands, but someone has given me an offer that I can't refuse. It's difficult for me to not interfere with the matter of the 8 wastelands, even if I want to. I never thought that the proud and solitary Yao, Jun Yin Feng, would work for someone. However, you're probably not the old man's opponent with your strength that has just reached the peak of the 15th star, said Jiaolan. Senior Jiaolan, I'm not the only one involved in this matter. I think there are many other people aside from me who are interested in the fragment of the 8 wastelands. Yin Feng laughed out loud. Yin Feng laughed. Then he looked around and said, "Everyone stop hiding. Come out." With that, over 100 figures suddenly appeared in the empty space in the surroundings. Every single one of them was a saint ruler, and there were even holy emperor-level experts. How Jia's people clearly knew that they were being followed, so they were not surprised by their appearance at all. Standing at the very front, Jiaolan scanned the surroundings coldly and said, "Everyone, How Jia purchased the fragment of the 8 wastelands in an auction. If you want to steal it, don't be so quick. Old man is merciless." Gade, as the city lord of the Serpent God Hall, why are you helping Hao Jia of the Heaven's Spirit Hall? A holy emperor, old man, asked with a deep voice. Chapter 872. Gade was the most powerful person present, but there were many other holy emperor-level experts in the surroundings. As a result, his threat was not enough to scare off the people who wanted to steal the 8 wastelands. Gade, do you really think that you and Hao Jia's people can stop all of us? Yao Jun Yin Feng asked. Everyone, you should all belong to different organizations. Right now, there's only one piece of the map, yet there are so many of you. I wonder, how will you split it once it ends up in your hands? An old man from Hao Jia's group spoke. He smiled and spoke nonchalantly. He was an ancestor of Hao Jia's group. He was also a holy emperor, but he was only at the 15th star. His nonchalant words immediately made many people frown. This was clearly an extremely difficult problem to solve. None of them wanted to risk their lives only to end up benefiting someone else. Seeing how everyone began to waver, a holy emperor immediately called out, "He's trying to drive a wedge between us. His intentions are obvious. Don't fall for his trap. Once we get the 8 wastelands, we'll discuss how to split it, or we can just split the map into several pieces, one for each person." All right, that's a pretty good idea. It's settled then. Immediately, many people agreed to the plan and agreed. Yao Jun Yin Feng licked his lips and chuckled. If that's the case, there's no need for us to waste time here. Everyone, let's go together and take the map fragment. Yao Jun was the most powerful person there aside from Gardner. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged at Gardner first. At the same time, he called out, "Fellow 15th-star cultivators, come with me to deal with this old bastard Gardner. Leave the people of the Hao family to the others." Immediately, several Holy Emperor experts flew out from the crowd and joined forces with Yao Jun Yin Feng against Gade. As soon as the Holy Emperor experts clashed, the violent shockwaves swept through the surroundings, causing mountains to collapse and the ground to crack. The entire world shook violently. There was a holy emperor in Hao Jia's group as well. He led over 20 experts from his clan and fought against over 100 experts. On the other hand, the holy emperor in Hao Jia's group was kept busy by the last of the holy emperor who fought for the map fragment of the 8 wastelands. As a result, Hao Jia's group was surrounded by over 100 experts of the same level. With such a huge difference in strength, they were at a disadvantage as soon as they clashed. They were surrounded and attacked by enemies several times their number. However, the people who fought for the map fragment of the 8 Wastelands did not belong to the same organization, so they did not trust each other. As a result, the people around Hao Jia were also on guard against the people around them, preventing them from launching sneak attacks. As a result, their strength was greatly reduced, and they were unable to use their full strength. Although they firmly suppressed Hao Jia's group, no one dared to take the risk of exposing themselves and attacking too heavily. On the other side, the battle between Gade and the Holy Emperor had reached a white-hot level. Gade did not have so many concerns. He used all of his strength without holding back and fought against 5 experts of the same level as him. Their battle shook the surroundings. They fought from the ground to the sky, and then from the sky to the ground. They retreated as they fought, and they were already 100 kilometers away. Violent ripples of energy wreaked havoc where they fought, enveloping the surrounding space. It had basically become a region of death, where even saint rulers dared not to set foot in. The 5 holy emperors who fought against Gade were all at the 3rd to 4th heavenly layer, but they did not dare to use their full strength due to their ulterior motives. They did not want to exhaust themselves too much or become injured, which would be the best opportunity for them to fight for the map fragment of the 8 Wastelands. As a result, the 5 of them only managed to fight to a draw with Gade, a 6th heavenly layer holy emperor. They even seemed to be at a disadvantage. Arg, arg. A few miserable cries rang out. The weaker saint rulers of Hao Jia's group all vomited blood as they collapsed. They were heavily injured. Their withdrawal from the battle immediately increased the pressure on the remaining powerhouses of the Hao clan. It was becoming more and more difficult for them to defend. If it weren't for the fact that both sides were on guard against each other, the 20 or so people of the Hao clan would have collapsed long ago. At this moment, Jianchen and newbies concealed their presences 1,000 kilometers away. They hid behind a mountain peak. Although they could not see the battle up ahead due to the distance, they could clearly sense the violent ripples of energy. It's too far away. We can't see anything, and we don't know what the situation is like. Jianchen, let's get closer, Newbie suggested. Jianchen extended his hand to stop newbies. There's no need. We can't get too close. Let's be careful together. I've always been monitoring what's happening up ahead, and I've discovered that there are still hidden experts who have yet to take action. We can't get too close. I can sense several presences of the Holy Emperor, and one of them is no weaker than by Yifei and Ling Yuanzi. Jianchen, do you think we can take the 8 Wastelands with our current strength? Newbies became rather worried. Several presences of the Holy Emperor had appeared up ahead, so he was not confident at all. We can only take the 8 Wastelands with wits, not force. It'll just depend on whether we have the opportunity or not. Fortunately, we have an advantage that no one else has, Jianchen said. What kind of advantage? Newbies was curious. Jianchen smiled mysteriously. You'll know in the future. Oh, right. Spit out the water spirit pearl. If we go fight for the map fragment later, we'll expose the presences of us outsiders. Once we get the map fragment, we'll find a safe place and use the water spirit pearl to hide our presences. That way, we'll be able to confuse them and make them focus on searching for outsiders, ignoring their own clansmen. It'll give us an extra layer of cover. Newbies' eyes lit up. Without any hesitation, he immediately spat out the water spirit pearl that concealed the presences of the outsiders and placed it in his space ring. Jianchen also spat out the water spirit pearl and the holy water into the artifact space. To him, the space ring was not particularly safe, as it could be stolen at any time. Only by placing it in the artifact space could he ensure that nothing would happen, unless the artifact betrayed him or he died. Let's wait here. When it's time to move out, I'll let you know, Jianchen said. The battle lasted for only 10 minutes, and several more of Hao Jia's people were heavily injured. Their numbers had been reduced from over 20 to a dozen, and 3 of them had died on the spot. Only their souls had managed to escape. The remaining dozen or so people were still bitterly holding on, but they were covered in blood. They would not be able to last much longer. The situation was becoming more and more disadvantageous for them. Hao Jia's holy emperor became extremely stern as well. He had already anticipated that they would be robbed on the way here. He had thought that with Senior Gade's assistance, they would be able to ensure that nothing would happen. However, he had never expected so many people to come. Just the number of people who had reached the level of Holy Emperor had come. We can't let this drag on any longer. Hao Jia's Holy Emperor thought. Determination flashed through his eyes as he knocked back his opponent with a single strike. A tremendous presence immediately radiated from his body as he called out, "Sky-destroying 3 palms!" A huge hand suddenly formed 100 meters in the air. It radiated with a devastating pressure. With the appearance of the hand, the laws of the world seemed to be greatly affected, becoming chaotic. All the saint rulers, and even the Holy Emperor, were unable to use spatial force. The hand was completely condensed from the physical force of the world. It possessed a tremendous power. Its appearance caused the space in a radius of several dozen kilometers to freeze. Even the Holy Emperor fighting against Hao Jia's Holy Emperor was greatly affected. As if he had fallen into a swamp, his movements became sluggish. A Tian-level saint technique. The Holy Emperor's face drastically changed. He became rather pale in a single moment. A Tian-level saint technique was equivalent to a saint-tier battle skill on the Tian-Yuan continent. It possessed devastating power. Even the Holy Emperor, who had reached the 3rd heavenly layer, had not grasped such a powerful technique. Although saint rulers could comprehend a Tian-level saint technique, grasping it was not that simple. Many Holy Emperor-level experts were unable to grasp a single Tian-level saint technique. As for creating a Tian-level saint technique, it could only be comprehended by someone who was extremely talented in comprehending the mysteries of the world. It would take 10,000 years for someone to do so. Even in Mercenary City, on the Tian-Yuan continent, there were only a handful of people who could create a saint-tier battle skill on the same level as a Tian-level saint technique. The huge palm seal sealed off the space within a radius of tens of miles. Then it descended from the sky with a majestic aura, silently merging into the ground and disappearing. Over 100 saint rulers and a Holy Emperor disappeared along with the hand. No one knew where they were. Only Hao Jia and a dozen saint rulers hovered in the air in a daze as they stared at the ground below them. A bottomless pit of unknown depth had appeared below them. It was palm-sized and enveloped a radius of several kilometers. The Holy Emperor and over 100 saint rulers had all been slammed into the ground. Arg! A furious roar rang out from the bottomless pit. The Holy Emperor did not die after taking on the attack of the Tian-level saint technique. Afterward, the presences of over 100 saint rulers leaked out from the bottomless pit. The power of the Tian-level saint technique had been taken on by the Holy Emperor and over 100 saint rulers at the same time. Not a single one of them had died. The Holy Emperor Hao Jia's eyes were cold. He raised his hand, and immediately another huge hand condensed 100 meters in the air. It slammed toward the ground with lightning speed, causing the ground to shake violently. Chapter 873. The Holy Emperor Hao Jia's heaven-destroying 3 palms basically landed at the same time, striking the same spot. After the 3 palms, the presence in the bottomless pit completely vanished. The fate of over 100 saint rulers and the Holy Emperor was unknown. A saint-tier battle skill used by a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler was enough to heavily injure or even directly kill a Holy Emperor. If the user was a Holy Emperor, the power would obviously be much greater than a saint ruler. Even if the saint rulers and the Holy Emperor did not die, they would definitely suffer unimaginable injuries. Gade and the 5 Holy Emperors who had already fought over 100 kilometers away were all shocked when they saw what had happened. Shock filled their faces. Even Gade, who was the strongest among them, had not grasped a single Tian-level saint technique. However, the Holy Emperor of Hao Jia was far weaker than them, yet he had already grasped a powerful Tian-level saint technique. They all found this hard to believe. The Tian-level battle saint technique was not so easy to comprehend. All of them had gone to the divine halls in their territories to comprehend the Tian-level battle saint technique. But without any exception, all of them had failed. The Tian-level battle saint technique was so profound and complicated that even saint kings would struggle to comprehend it. Ha 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 ha, old man. I'd like to see just how you'll be able to fight for the 8 wastelands now, Jianqin laughed. The Holy Emperor of Hao Jia had grasped a Tian-level saint technique, greatly increasing their strength. This made Gade feel excited. With that, they would be able to protect the 8 wastelands. The Holy Emperor of Hao Jia sneered as he stared at the bottomless pit created by the heaven-destroying 3 palms. He said, "You will definitely pay a heavy price for stealing from our Hao Jia." The Holy Emperor of Hao Jia looked in the direction of Gade's battle and said, "Senior Gade, I'll help you." "No need. Old man, keep them busy. You take the 8 wastelands and leave quickly," Gade said loudly. Hearing this, the Holy Emperor of Hao Jia hesitated for a while before clasping his hands towards Gade. "Senior Gade, I'll take my leave first. I'll come back another day to thank you for saving me." The Holy Emperor of Hao Jia no longer hesitated and led the remaining experts of the Hao Jia to fly away. Suddenly, a blood-red light flashed and silently passed by the Holy Emperor of Hao Jia. The blood-red light came without any warning, catching the Holy Emperor of Hao Jia off guard. It directly cut off one of his fingers. The pain of losing a limb made the Holy Emperor of Hao Jia groan in pain. But when he saw the cut-off finger, his expression changed greatly, because that finger was where the space ring was. The Holy Emperor of Hao Jia flew into a rage and immediately became like an angry lion. He let out an angry roar and immediately chased after the falling finger, wanting to take back the space ring. The blood-red light flashed again and caught the space ring before the Holy Emperor of Hao Jia could. "Where do you think you're going?" "Stay here." The Holy Emperor of Hao Jia's eyes turned red and madly chased after the blood-red light. "The 8 wastelands has been taken away." Yao Jun Yunfeng, who was fighting with Gade, let out a cry of alarm. Then, without caring about anything else, he directly gave up on Gade and chased after the blood-red light that had taken the space ring. The other Holy Emperor of Gade and the others also stopped fighting and chased after the blood-red light as fast as they could. The blood-red light carried the space ring and flew for 100 li before stopping. Then, a hunchbacked old woman appeared out of thin air. She grabbed the severed finger of the Holy Emperor of Hao Jia and took the space ring off it. Throwing the severed finger far away, she smiled sinisterly and said in a hoarse voice, "The 8 wastelands is mine. None of you can get it." Before she finished speaking, the old woman's figure flickered slightly and she turned into a blur and fled. "Stay here!" Gardner flew into a rage and threw a punch at the old woman. A massive fist carrying a surging energy shockwave shot towards the old woman like a bolt of lightning. The old woman had already reached the 16th star, but she was only at the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. She was slightly weaker than Gade. She quickly turned around and pushed out with her shriveled hands, colliding with the fist of energy that had caught up to her. Along with a violent boom, violent energy shockwaves wreaked havoc in the world. After receiving Gardner's punch, not only did the old woman's speed not decrease in the slightest, but she even borrowed the strong rebounding force to flee into the distance at an even faster speed. Right at this moment, a hand as white as mutton fat seemed to appear out of thin air in front of the old woman. With lightning speed, it lightly pressed against the old woman's chest. The old woman had just blocked Gade's attack, so she was caught off guard and forcefully received the palm strike. Spurt! The old woman spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face paled in a single moment. The palm strike was extremely powerful. She was heavily injured as she was caught off guard. "The 8 Wastelands map fragment is now mine." A clear and lively voice rang out in the old woman's ears. An alluring woman in an azure dress appeared before the old woman. The space ring that had been in the old woman's hand had already landed on the woman. The woman was also a holy emperor. Her strength was on par with the old woman at the 5th heavenly layer of the holy emperor. However, she gave off a different presence from the people of the sea race. "You're a human expert." The old woman stared at the woman and said with a heavy voice, "I am Qing Yishuan. Thank you for giving me the 8 Wastelands map fragment." The woman giggled. Her smile was very beautiful, like 100 flowers blooming. Afterward, there was a flash of azure light, and Qing Yishuan had already left, fleeing into the distance. The old woman coughed up a mouthful of blood. She stared at Qing Yishuan's departing figure hatefully, but she did not pursue. I never thought that even one of the 8 human experts, Qing Yishuan, would be involved. She even managed to heavily injure me with a sneak attack. "Damn it," the old woman said with great reluctance. Very few people in the sea realm did not know the name Qing Yishuan. Other than the survivors of the sea race, there were magical beasts and humans in the sea realm as well. However, they were extremely few in number. Without any exception, all of them had entered the sea realm as saint rulers and cultivated there, breaking through to the level of holy emperor in the end. This was why there were foreign holy emperor existences in the sea realm. 8 of the human holy emperor were the most famous. They were all 16th star Poseidon warriors, or holy emperor at the 5th heavenly layer at the very least. Qing Yishuan just happened to be one of them. Behind her, Gade and the 5 other holy emperors shot past the old woman as a blur, pursuing Qing Yishuan. "Please rest for a while," an ancient voice rang out. An aged voice resounded from the heaven and earth. 2 white-robed old men with white hair and ruddy complexions suddenly appeared. They blocked the path of Jialan and the others. These 2 old men were also one of the 8 great experts of the human race. "Anyone who gets in my way will die." Jialan furiously roared out as he engaged in a great battle with one of the human experts. The other human expert blocked the other 5 Saint Kings all by himself. Even though the 2 of them were at a disadvantage, they only wanted to buy some time and not engage in a battle to the death. Qing Yishuan finally stopped after running several thousand kilometers with her space ring. She looked back and exhaled deeply. She said softly, "Fortunately, I got 2 helpers, or I really wouldn't have been able to shake them off. Although I've paid quite a price, it's all worth it as long as I can get the 8 Wastelands." As soon as she said that, Qing Yishuan's eyes suddenly narrowed. She abruptly turned her head to the side and saw 2 young men around the age of 20 flying towards her side by side. One of them wore blue robes and was handsome. He gave off an otherworldly presence. The other wore golden robes and had a head of long golden hair. There was an unconcealable arrogance between his brows. They were Jianchen and newbies. "Humans, magical beasts," Qing Yishuan said softly. She recognized Jianchen and newbies with a single glance. Jianchen and newbies directly made their way toward Qing Yishuan. In the end, they stopped 100 meters away from her. Jianchen looked at Qing Yishuan calmly and clasped his hands. "Junior Yang Yutian greets Senior. Senior must be fighting for the 8 Wastelands." Qing Yishuan's face immediately changed slightly when she heard about the 8 Wastelands. A cold light flickered through her eyes as she glared at Jianchen and newbies. She said, "Are you bold enough to take the 8 Wastelands from me? Brat, seeing that we're of the same clan, I'll overlook your disrespect earlier. If you know what's good for you, leave this place quickly, or don't blame me for being rude to you." Jianchen smiled faintly. "Senior, you've misunderstood. I've come looking for you this time because I want to ask if you really have the 8 Wastelands in your space ring." Qing Yishuan seemed to realize something when she heard that. A gleam of light flashed through her eyes, and she immediately checked the space ring. Her face immediately changed drastically from what she saw. She threw the space ring far away furiously and said angrily, "It's actually empty." The space ring has already been in Senior's possession for some time now. Although it's empty, I'm sure the people behind you won't believe Senior's words. They'll definitely think that Senior has hidden the 8 wastelands. Not only did Senior fail to obtain the 8 wastelands, but you've also been misunderstood or even hunted down by the experts of the sea race. Senior's current situation does not seem optimistic. Jianqin smiled faintly. Chapter 874. Qing Yishuan's face paled from anger. She stomped her foot angrily and said, "These bastards from the Haojia have actually tricked all of us. Brat, tell me, how did you know the space ring was empty?" A tremendous presence radiated from Qing Yishuan, firmly suppressing Jianqin and newbies. "Senior, the 8 wastelands are still with the Holy Emperor from the Haojia. He's currently fleeing with the 8 wastelands to the north. If you don't chase after him quickly, you probably won't be able to catch up," Jianqin said. "Why do you know so much? Why should I believe your nonsense?" Qing Yishuan called out as she stared at Jianqin closely. "I've already said what I wanted to say. Whether you believe me or not is up to you, Senior," Jianqin said calmly. The light in Qing Yishuan's eyes flickered. After a moment of hesitation, she chose to believe Jianqin in the end. She turned into a faint blur and flew towards the north. The 8 Desolation map fragment was too important. Qing Yishuan had the mindset that she would rather believe it was true than not. "Damn brat, I'll believe you this time. If I discover that you're lying to me, even if we're of the same clan, Qing Yishuan, will never let you go. I'll definitely hunt you down to the ends of the world." Qing Yishuan's voice rang out in the air, but she had already vanished. "That's strange. Jianqin, how do you know that the 8 wastelands aren't in the space ring? And how do you know where the Holy Emperor from the Haojia is? Can your eyes see things from several thousand kilometers away?" Newbies could no longer hold back his curiosity after Qing Yishuan left. Jianqin smiled mysteriously. "Now's not the time to talk about that. Qing Yishuan is too powerful. I hope the Holy Emperor from the Haojia won't be so weak." However, the Holy Emperor from the Haojia has grasped a Saint-tier battle skill. It shouldn't be easy for Qing Yishuan to take something from him. "Newbies, let's go. Perhaps the time for us to obtain the 8 wastelands is coming soon." Jianqin and newbies immediately concealed their presences and carefully flew forward. The city lord and the 5 other Holy Emperor from the 8 wastelands were all busy with 2 old men. The 8 Holy Emperor level experts were still engaged in an intense battle. However, the Hao clan Saint Emperor with a broken finger was not here. He had disappeared without a trace. The shock waves from the battle between the 8 Holy Emperors swept over 10,000 kilometers away, attracting all the experts there. A few saint rulers hovered several dozen kilometers away from the battle, watching from afar. Several thousand kilometers to the north, the Holy Emperor from the Haojia saint rulers had already separated himself from the Haojia saint rulers. He flew by himself at full speed, heading toward the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. The secret of my space ring will be discovered very soon, so I need to get to the Heaven's Spirit Hall as soon as possible. Once I reach the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall, I'll be able to ask the Hall Elders to help me fend off the enemies. At that time, no matter how many 16th star Poseidon warriors there are, they won't be able to pose any threat to me. The Holy Emperor from the Haojia Saint Ruler softly murmured. He did not put the 8 wastelands into his space ring. Instead, he kept it with him. At this moment, a tremendous presence rapidly shot over from afar. It chased after the Holy Emperor from the Haojia Saint Ruler in a straight line. The Holy Emperor from the Haojia Saint Ruler's face drastically changed. He cried out, "Oh no, it's a 16-star expert. Has he discovered that my space ring is empty so quickly?" The Holy Emperor from the Haojia Saint Ruler panicked. He immediately stopped holding back. A faint, red mist surrounded him, immediately increasing his speed drastically. He had already used a secret technique that damaged his vitality to flee. "Old man, you can't escape," a clear voice rang out. The Holy Emperor from the Hao Jia, Saint Ruler. Qing Yishuan had also used a secret technique to increase her speed, chasing after him with lightning-like speed that completely surpassed the Holy Emperor from the Hao Jia, Saint Ruler. The Holy Emperor from the Hao Jia, Saint Ruler, did not say anything. He gritted his teeth and fled as hard as he could. But no matter how fast he increased his speed, he was unable to pull away from the person behind him. The distance between them closed bit by bit. Very soon, they went from several hundred kilometers to 100 kilometers, and then from 100 kilometers to a few dozen kilometers. "I'll do it." The Holy Emperor from the Hao Jia, Saint Ruler, stopped fleeing when he realized that he could no longer escape. He hovered in the air with a pale face as a tremendous presence immediately radiated from his body. He seemed like a primordial beast that was slowly awakening from its slumber. Tian-level saint technique, sky-crushing palms. The Holy Emperor from the Hao Jia Saint Tier cried out and used the Saint Tier battle skill again. The world force in the surroundings rapidly surged. The invisible world force actually condensed into a huge, tangible palm above the Holy Emperor from the Hao Jia, Saint Ruler. A tremendous pressure filled the surroundings, locking up the surroundings several dozen kilometers and causing the space there to suddenly freeze. When the azure-robed Qing Yishuan was 5 kilometers away from the Holy Emperor from the Hao Jia Saint Tier, she was bound by the suddenly frozen space. The powerful presence from the Tian-level saint technique locked onto her tightly. Even with her strength at the 5th heavenly layer, her face could not help but change drastically. Tremendous saint force surged out from Qing Yishuan's body, immediately shattering the frozen space. However, the quagmire-like space around her still greatly restricted her movements. A faint azure sword appeared in Qing Yishuan's hand. With a cry, she shot toward the Holy Emperor from Hao Jia as a streak of azure light, attempting to interrupt the Saint Tier battle skill from the Hao Jia Holy Emperor. With the Holy Emperor Hao Jia's strength, he did not need much time to charge up the Saint Tier battle skill. He finished his preparations very quickly. With a flip of his hand, he slammed down. Immediately, the huge palm floating in the sky let out a rumbling sound, bringing with it the power to destroy the world. It slammed down from the sky with a vast and majestic aura. Qing Yishuan's clothes fluttered as her hair danced wildly. She gave up on attacking the Holy Emperor Hao Jia Saint Tier. She pointed her sword at the sky and shot up as a blur. She planned on forcefully taking on the Saint Tier battle skill with her own strength. She had been completely locked onto by the Saint Tier battle skill, so she was unable to escape. She had no other choice but to take it head-on. Boom! Qing Yishuan's petite body collided with the gigantic hand. Their sizes were completely disproportionate, but a deafening rumble erupted. Violent ripples of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, ripping apart space and obliterating the world. It was reduced to darkness. The power of the huge hand did not diminish at all. It pressed down from the sky with an unstoppable force, leaving a bottomless palm print on the ground. The ground trembled as Qing Yishuan was pressed into the ground by the huge hand. But very soon, she flew out of the ground in her azure clothes. Powerful and surging azure saint force permeated her body as terrifying ripples of energy caused the surrounding space to tremble. Even with her strength at the 5th heavenly layer as the Holy Emperor, Qing Yishuan was unable to remain unscathed after forcefully taking on the Saint Tier battle skill. Her hair was disheveled and her face was rather pale. Her clothes were rather disheveled as well. She was in a horrible shape. Boom! A great rumble rang out from the sky as the second palm pressed down. It was even more powerful than the first. Qing Yishuan resisted as hard as she could, but she was still not its opponent. She was struck into the ground once again. Blood flowed from the corner of her lips as her face was pale. She was quite heavily injured. Afterwards, the third palm followed. It was the most powerful, enough to destroy space and make it collapse. Spurt! Qing Yishuan vomited blood after forcefully taking on the attack. Her face was pale and her hair was disheveled. She was in a horrible shape, heavily injured. Using 2 heaven-level saint techniques in a row took a toll on the Hao family saint emperor. His face was pale and he was very weak. After using the 3 palms, the holy emperor Hao Jia no longer cared about the outcome. He turned around and fled into the distance. A surging sword qi appeared from behind, and Qing Yishuan flew out from the ground in a horrible shape. She charged toward the holy emperor Hao Jia as hard as she could. Although she was heavily injured, she was still a supreme expert at the 5th heavenly layer after all. Her life force was extremely great, so she still retained a lot of battle prowess. Leave behind the 8 wastelands, and I'll spare your life, Qing Yishuan called out. She began to fight the holy emperor Hao Jia very soon. However, the 2 of them failed to sense that 2 saint rulers that they did not take seriously had silently approached 500 kilometers away from them. The 2 of them concealed their presences and hid there carefully. They were Jianqin and newbies. A golden light shot out from Jianqin's forehead and turned into a small, golden tower in his hand in the end. Jianqin turned around and said to newbies, "We need to enter the artifact space. Don't resist." With a flash of white light, Jianqin and newbies vanished. They had been sucked away by the power of the saint artifact. After sucking away the 2 of them, the saint artifact plunged into the ground and traveled to the battlefield underground. Qing Yishuan and the holy emperor Hao Jia fought in the air. They were locked in a stalemate. If Qing Yishuan was at her peak condition, she would definitely be able to deal with the holy emperor Hao Jia easily. However, she was heavily injured now. Even though she still retained her great battle prowess, she was nowhere near her peak condition. The 2 of them fought intensely for 10 minutes. The holy emperor Hao Jia's chest was pierced by Qing Yishuan's sword. He immediately vomited blood, and the powerful sword qi tore apart the holy emperor Hao Jia's clothes. Immediately, a foot-wide piece of black fur appeared in the air, fluttering in the wind. It was completely unscathed. The holy emperor Hao Jia's face changed drastically when he saw the black fur. Ignoring his wounds, he reached for the black fur with all his might. However, Qing Yishuan was even faster than him. Her slender fingers turned into a blur as she grabbed the black fur with lightning speed. She immediately became overjoyed and said, "I've finally obtained the 8 Wastelands map fragment." With the map fragment, Qing Yishuan did not stay any longer. She turned around and retreated in an attempt to flee. The holy emperor Hao Jia bellowed out furiously and sent a palm strike at Qing Yishuan's back as hard as he could. Blood sprayed from Qing Yishuan's mouth and her wounds worsened. Afterwards, she turned the force of the palm strike into momentum and fled even faster into the distance. She no longer wanted to tangle with the holy emperor Hao Jia. "Qing Yishuan, Hao Jia, will never let you go," the holy emperor Hao Jia bellowed out furiously. He was extremely furious. Qing Yishuan fled with a pale face. She wanted to find a safe place to heal as soon as possible. Her current situation was extremely bad. She had not suppressed her wounds in the battle earlier, so they rapidly worsened. They had reached an extremely terrible state. Even an ordinary holy emperor would struggle to deal with them. "Although I'm heavily injured, everything will be worth it if I can obtain the 8 Wastelands map fragment." Qing Yishuan glanced at the black beast hide in her hand as a smile of joy involuntarily appeared on her pale face. Afterwards, she casually hid the Octaterra map fragment in her clothes for safekeeping. She did not put it in her space ring. Chapter 875. Qing Yishuan was startled. She immediately became alert. She swung her sword and stabbed at the golden light that shot up from below. Ding! With a gentle sound, the golden light was knocked away by Qing Yishuan's attack, revealing the original shape of the Golden Tower. However, the Golden Tower suddenly began to shine brightly, enveloping a radius of several hundred meters. Even Qing Yishuan was enveloped by the golden light. The Saint artifact used its own power to turn the space within a radius of several hundred meters into its own territory. Although it couldn't completely control everything, it could absorb or release anything that didn't resist within a radius of several hundred meters into the Saint artifact space. The golden-robed newbies left the artifact space under the protection of the Saint artifact's power. He silently appeared behind Qing Yishuan and spat out a mouthful of poisonous gas. The venom of the golden-striped silver snake was ranked third on the world's poison rankings. With its strength as a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler, the venom it spat out could even kill the Holy Emperor. Qing Yishuan was caught off guard and inhaled a mouthful of poisonous gas. She immediately felt dizzy. "Oh no, there's poison!" Qing Yishuan was surprised. She immediately sensed that someone had suddenly appeared behind her. However, as soon as she reacted, Nubis' hand had already grabbed her back viciously. His fingers stabbed deeply into her body, and a powerful poison surged into her body like an unstoppable flood. Qing Yishuan cried out, and tremendous saint force surged out from her body. She directly knocked Nubis back with supreme strength. Her face was icy cold, and her eyes were filled with heavy killing intent. She directly attacked Nubis with her sword. Nubis showed no fear and directly engaged in an intense battle with Qing Yishuan. If Qing Yishuan was in peak condition, he might only be able to flee. But not only was she heavily injured now, she had also been poisoned by him. It was difficult for her to use even 50% of her strength, so she was no longer a threat to Nubis. Nubis and Qing Yishuan hurriedly clashed a few times before Nubis' chest was pierced by Qing Yishuan's sword. He was heavily injured, while Qing Yishuan was struck by a punch from Nubis, causing her to fly away while vomiting blood. Before Qing Yishuan could stabilize herself, Jianqin silently appeared before her with the help of the Saint artifact. He extended his hand into Qing Yishuan's bosom with lightning-like speed, and immediately 2 plump and soft balls of flesh entered Jianqin's senses. The bouncy balls of flesh began to press against Jianqin's hand, causing Qing Yishuan's clothes to bulge. As soon as Jianqin's hand reached into Qing Yishuan's bosom, it came into contact with the 8 wastelands. Without any hesitation, he immediately reached out and gripped the 8 wastelands tightly. The feeling in his hand told Jianqin that he had not only grabbed the 8 wastelands, but also a large clump of smooth, tender flesh and a piece of cloth. Arg! Qing Yishuan could not help but cry out. Her eyes widened as she stared at the hand that had reached into her bosom in a daze. Disbelief filled her face. After becoming stunned, Qing Yishuan immediately returned to her senses. Her slightly reddened face was immediately filled with anger as she shrieked, "You pervert!" Due to the close proximity, Qing Yishuan was unable to use her sword. In a moment of desperation, Qing Yishuan directly launched a palm strike at Jianqin. How could a palm strike from a holy emperor at the 5th heavenly layer be underestimated? Even though Qing Yishuan was heavily injured, her strike still exceeded the limits of Jianqin's chaotic body. Spurt! Jianqin immediately vomited blood as he was blown far away. His hand that had reached into Qing Yishuan's bosom had been pulled out as well. Jianqin held the black fragment of the 8 wastelands tightly in his hand. Aside from the fragment of the 8 wastelands, a white doodoo had also been caught by Jianqin when he was not paying attention. He pulled it out along with the fragment of the 8 wastelands. The faint fragrance and warmth from the doodoo fluttered in the wind, fluttering wildly as it gave off a faint fragrance. Qing Yishuan's face became bright red when she saw the white doodoo in Jianqin's hand. However, her eyes burned with fury as killing intent surged from her. "You pervert! I'll cut you to pieces!" Qing Yishuan was infuriated. She ignored her wounds and charged at Jianqin with her sword. "Let's go. This woman is far too powerful. She's heavily injured. yet she still possesses such great battle prowess. Newbies arrived beside Genshin in a flash. He grabbed Genshin and fled into the distance. At the same time, the golden tower disappeared into Genshin's forehead as a golden streak of light. Where do you think you're going? If I don't kill you today, I, Qing Yishuan, will never stop. Qing Yishuan screamed from behind. She hated Genshin to the core. You've already been poisoned by my poison. If you don't suppress it, the poison will spread and you'll die to it before you can even catch up to us. I believe you know extremely well just how potent the venom of a golden-striped silver snake is. Newbies turned around and said loudly to Qing Yishuan. He wanted to break free from Qing Yishuan's pursuit. I'll remember the two of you. In the future, I'll definitely chase you to the ends of the world. Qing Yishuan roared furiously. Qing Yishuan roared out furiously. She did not continue the chase. She stared at the two of them coldly before flying off in another direction. Newbies was right. Her body was in a terrible state. She had been heavily injured before being poisoned. If she did not deal with it, she would die even if she was a holy emperor. Newbies fled as quickly as he could with Genshin. They only stopped after several tens of thousand kilometers. Afterward, the two of them directly entered the artifact space. Within the artifact space, Genshin and Newbies recovered very quickly under the treatment of the origin energy of the artifact spirit. They returned to their peak condition. Only now did Genshin and Newbies finally let out a sigh of relief. Taking something from a holy emperor of the fifth heavenly layer was an extremely risky action. Their lives would have been in danger if they had been careless. We've finally gotten the 8 wastelands. Genshin smiled excitedly. Finally, he looked at the 8 wastelands that he had been holding in his hand the entire time. However, he suddenly became stunned and became extremely strange. Previously, due to the urgency of the situation, although he felt that other than the 8 wasteland map fragment, he seemed to have taken out something else. But he didn't pay attention until now. Only now did he realize that other than the 8 wasteland map fragment, there was also a white didoo. Let me see what the 8 wastelands looks like. Newbies also turned his head to look at the 8 wastelands in Genshin's hand. However, his eyes soon locked onto the white didoo, and he immediately became stunned. His mouth widened as disbelief filled his face. Genshin, what is this? Newbies pointed at the white didoo and stuttered. Genshin raised the item to his eyes and studied it carefully. When he finally confirmed that his eyes were not playing tricks on him, he could not help but bitterly smile. This is a doo-doo. Genshin, why will you actually pulled off her doo-doo? Newbies was extremely shocked as he stuttered. The situation was urgent back then. In my haste, how could I have noticed something like this? Genshin smiled bitterly. Genshin, you're far too impressive. She's an expert at the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. No wonder she said she would chase us to the ends of the world. Ayu. Newbies could not help but laugh aloud towards end. Genshin smiled bitterly as well as he looked at the white didoo in his hand. He carefully placed it into his space ring, planning to return it in the future. He said, "All right, let's not talk about that. Let's take a look at the 8 wastelands first." Newbies immediately became serious when the topic of the 8 wastelands was brought up. He immediately moved closer to Genshin and studied the 8 wastelands. The 8 wastelands was a piece of black hide that was about a square foot in size. It was extremely tough, where even a holy emperor would find it difficult to destroy it. There were a few blurry patterns carved on it. It was not difficult to tell that it was an incomplete map at a closer look. The 8 wastelands is the map to the divine hall of the 8 wastelands, and it's also the key to the divine hall of the 8 wastelands. We need to gather enough fragments to complete the map, Newbie said. Genshin nodded in agreement before putting the 8 wastelands away. He took out a water spirit bead from his space ring and swallowed it. He said, "We can't stay here for long. Let's leave quickly." Newbies nodded. He also took out a water spirit bead from his space ring and swallowed it before leaving the artifact space with Jianchen.